Whip-a-dooba-dang.
Whip-a-dooba-dang. Ba-ding-ding-ding-ding-dong. How have we not made that our new intro since we turned our show into being out in the woods?
Like, ba-ding-ding-ding-ding-ding-ding-ding.
Exactly. Ding-ding-ding-ding-ding.
Is it Deliverance?
Yeah,
What's the movie
it's Deliverance.
Andrew's like, I haven't heard that joke.
That was filmed 8 streets over from where I live. Of course, 8 streets over is like 4 miles here.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
At least 4 miles, if not more. 8 streets over.
There's
might
not
be
8
in
streets
Shelton.
that way.
Yeah, there might be Shelton by the time we get to 8 streets.
I'm pretty sure you get to straight to Montesano before you get 8 streets going that way.
Really?
I mean, what? There's 101.
There's 101.
There's a couple Forest Service roads.
There's got to be another street somewhere in there.
There's lots of Forest Service roads.
Monkey Creek? Now I'm going to start looking at them now.
Cougar Smith?
No, Cougar Smith is
Cougar Canyon.
is over there.
It's over there.
It's over there.
This is the Scrimmage.
Is it?
Yeah, we're bad at geography as always. I'm Justin Damashevich.
So you're
Not
saying north, right?
No, not a geography pod.
8
Yeah, I
streets
said north.
north?
North, yeah.
Definitely not a geography pod. If you're looking for accurate geography information, look elsewhere.
My phone can't figure out where we are. That's how far
The woods. We are in the woods. That's Daniel Hargrove trying to figure out where we are. Trusty producer Andrew Gross is the reason that we're in the woods, because he lives in the woods and loves in the woods. But I think we do have a lot of good stuff for the show today. I thought it would be good in the intro of the show to talk about what I felt like was probably the story of the week that impacted me the most.
Mm-hmm.
Hoquiam football and Eatonville football played a game at historic Olympic Stadium this Friday. Now, Eatonville had just lost one of their teammates, Jason Naro, died in a tragic car accident, I believe, on Monday. So literally this week. And you know, you're faced in that scenario as a team, like, what do we do? Like, do we play this game? Do we not play this game? What's the best way to honor our brother and our teammate? And fortunately for them, they had a partner on the field in Hoquiam who made it, you know, about as easy as it can be to, you know, honor the guy that you need to honor. Hoquiam did a fantastic job of welcoming Eatonville. They painted, Jason's number was 33. They painted big blue 33s, and if you know, Hoquiam, that's a crimson school. That's not a blue school. You don't normally see a crimson team paint blue on their field. Big blue 33s on the 33-yard lines in honor of Jason. All players from both teams wore decals on their helmets to honor Jason. And also when Eatonville took a 33-0 lead, when they kicked the field goal on second down, I believe it was in the third quarter, that they just paused the game for a minute and all the Eatonville players went and knelt together and had a moment of silence for their teammate Jason. So I wanted to say that I felt it was a great job all around. You know, for Eatonville, I can't imagine me at that age, you know, a 15, 16, 17-year-old kid dealing with something like that, then deciding to go out and play a football game. Like because it's not just a sport, like it's the sport that requires the most focus, discipline, and aggression. You know, it's not like going out and running a 100 meters or you know, going out and playing a basketball game. Like, this is a sport that requires 100% of your focus. It requires you to be at 100% at all times, or else sometimes you can get your head taken off. And those kids, I can't express how tremendously impressed I am that those Eatonville players and coaches decided that the best way to honor Jason was to go out there and compete, but you know, show continuously and in multiple ways that he was on their mind. So great job by Eatonville, you know, having the courage to go out there and honor their teammates. Great job by Hoquiam. You know, it's been a tough season. You know, with this loss, they lost that game 40-0, but I'm giving them an honorary win. I'm gonna make them 2-8 because it was. There's a bare minimum that can be done, which is like hey, let's mention your teammate. You know, we understand this is a horrible situation for you guys, but we still got a game to play.
That's the bare minimum, and yet it would also be easy to do nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they went above and beyond. Like, they didn't just say, you guys honor your teammate, we're going to honor him too. You guys wear the decals, we'll also wear the decals. And then when Eatonville shows up and they've got extra 33s, big blue 33s of
Yeah.
the Crimson team on their field. Like, that was really cool.
Yeah.
So I
When
just
I
wanted
first-
to say to start the game, and I'll let you say whatever you want to say about this. Great job by both sides. And, you know, normally we don't root for Eatonville on this show.
Yeah.
You're a league rival. I'm sorry.
You're out
But-
of the area league rival.
But great job by both sides, and best of luck to Eatonville in a district crossover. They're going to be hosting Castle Rock, I believe, on Friday. And we will be rooting for you. I will be rooting for you. Daniel probably will. Be rooting for you to get into the state tournament with a win there so you can continue to honor your teammate.
Yeah, absolutely. And the only thing I was going to say is I teared up just when I saw the picture of the 33.
Makes you misty.
Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine being one of his teammates and
Seriously.
showing up to the field and seeing that. Like, you just break down.
Yeah.
So,
I'm not sure if I would have had the emotional capacity at that age to play in that game.
I don't know. I think, I see both sides of it. I could totally understand if, like, some of the kids didn't want to play.
Yeah.
For me, whatever sport I was in was the safe space.
Mhm.
And so that would have been healthy, I think, for me to not be thinking about it 100% at all times, you know.
Yeah.
So that's the other side of it that I could see. You know, if there's kids out there who had the mental space that I was in, which would have been like, I would have been in a depression, you know, morning, and sports would have been like the safe spot,
Yeah.
which I think is healthy too when you're going through something like that.
That probably describes a lot of the kids.
Mhm.
Like, it was good for them to be able to go out and play.
Yeah.
It was good for them to be able to go out and perform. And I also, like, I don't know if anybody else is, like, quite as deranged as I am as far as, like, following high school football news so much, but because I follow Eatonville Sports News,
Mm-hmm.
and I got to read the write-up by Skip Smith, he covers sports for them and runs that publication. And Skip knew Jason. He coached him when he was young, I think grade school age, and, you know, knew him. Everything I've heard is that Jason was just a great kid, an angler and a really good fisherman.
Mhm.
And I think I saw one of the first posts I saw from him was that he had won some kind of a fishing award. But anyway, Skip did a great job of his write-up of not only including everything that happened in the football game,
Mm-hmm.
but he led with everything that was done to honor Jason, and he also said that it wouldn't have felt right to him to do a write-up on that game without also talking to some of the players. So he had quotes from Jason's teammates in the article, which was really powerful, and that whole 33 to nothing thing, that was a player-led movement. Like, they came up with the idea. I think my mic just went out. Did something change, Andrew? Hello,
I'm
check
sorry.
it. Yeah, that's okay.
I'm trying to get the audio to
Okay.
work properly.
Sorry, no, we're good. We're good. Not only did he get words from the players talking about, like, their teammate and what they wanted to do to honor their teammate, I found out that the 33 score, like, the players wanted to hit that. Like, they had got together beforehand and talked about what can we do to honor our teammate.
Mm-hmm.
His number's 33. Let's get to 33. So when they had 30 points and they were knocking on the door, I think it was a 24-yard field goal, so they must have been inside. Does that put them inside the 10-yard line?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep.
And they decided to kick the field goal on second down because the players told the coaches, "Hey, we would like to do this. Like, all these guys want to score touchdowns, right?
Right.
Like, everybody who carries the ball wants to score touchdowns.
Yep.
So, like, they set that aside for themselves in that moment and said, instead of one of us having an opportunity to go get in the end zone,
Yeah.
let's take a moment to get to that score that we said we wanted to so we can honor Jason,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
That's, again, I don't think that it could have been done much better,
Yeah.
if at all.
Agreed.
Like, and things worked out to get to that 33 too. It's just, I mean, that's stuff you see in movies. So,
Yeah.
no, it's It's hard to talk about without crying. I don't know if we're crying, so.
Well, I mean, I know and understand that, like, if I was at that game,
Oh, jeez. How do you? Oh,
I don't know if I would, like, cry, like, full tears, but Misty, there's no doubt I'd be Misty.
I would have been sobbing had I been at that game.
I still have, like, this little, like, I've pushed most of the toxic masculinity out of my life, but I still have this little thing about, like, really struggling to cry in front of people.
Yeah.
But
I probably should have held on to a little bit of that. Yeah, I mean, by me,
You know
held
what,
on,
buddy?
learned to not cry at everything.
you just do you.
I cry at
You just do you, and it's fine. We all love you and accept you for who you are. But there's 100% chance that if I were at that game, which, to be honest, I would have loved to be there. And if it wasn't for the fact that my son was playing in a game that night, I probably would have gone.
Yeah.
Because I would have wanted to see how they handled it and everything. Not a lot of dry eyes in the house at Olympic Stadium, both from Hoquiam fans and Eatonville fans. It gives you perspective, and it helps you understand the significance.
Shoot.
What's wrong?
Rob just said, are the mics on? Hard to hear you guys.
Yeah, I don't understand why, but it's super muffled coming through on YouTube, even though everything seems to be fine up here. So I'm poking things and prodding things and trying to figure out what is going on.
Okay.
Might have to restart
It
the YouTube
is,
feed.
it's understandable, but you have to turn it up and
Gotcha. I was gonna say it might be worth just restarting the YouTube stream. I don't know. If that's the only problem you can find, at least.
what do you mean by restarting the stream?
I mean, like, stopping the YouTube stream and starting another one.
Just make a whole new one?
Yeah, I mean,
If you're on the YouTube, can you hear us? What did the comments say?
yeah.
I got something from Skip that says thank you for the kind words.
Yeah.
Oh, they were on the 7-yard line when they kicked the field goal.
Yeah. Daniel Gross says sound is not right, I think.
Yeah. Well, we will apologize and hope that
It is hearable. It just sounds like you guys are all standing 10 yards away from the mic.
And I'll just say this off the top
Okay.
here. If you are really struggling to hear us and you can't get the audio right, we're gonna keep working on trying to figure out what's going on. But also, there is a podcast version that'll come out, and everything that's in my earphones right now sounds really good.
Sounds
so
great,
if
yeah.
you absolutely cannot hear what's happening on the YouTube stream right now, check out the podcast when it drops later today. Definitely be up by tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you can listen to that as well.
Yeah, and it seems like everything on our end is working well, so we're not sure what's going on with YouTube right now.
But we apologize, and also it's YouTube's fault because, like I said, everything sounds really good going into my headphones.
Yep.
So you know YouTube might be doing the thing where they try to mess with us.
It's probably not YouTube's fault. It's
Yeah.
probably my fault.
Andrew,
Yeah.
it's YouTube's fault. We're gonna come to Andrew's defense here. Yeah, it's again, good job by Hoquiam, good job by Eatonville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we talk about this anymore, it's going to get pretty emotional in here.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Having gone, I mean, yeah, we don't need to get any more in depth into personal experiences.
Well,
anything like
you know,
that,
and like just for perspective,
Yeah.
when I was about 14 years old, I lost a friend in a ATV accident.
Yep.
And
I fixed it.
Oh, good, Andrew fixed it.
It's been fixed.
I lost a friend in an ATV accident when I was a young teen.
Yeah.
And, you know, granted, I was younger than most of the kids that were on the field, but, like, I feel that after that happened, I don't know how I would have, immediately been able to focus within, like, not only getting ready for a game from Monday to Friday,
Yeah.
but being able to focus on practice for a few days or however long it takes you to get ready for that game to go out. And then not only that, but to go out and win the game
Yeah.
in convincing fashion. So while, like, you know, obviously, you know, prayers for Jason's family, for the coaches, for the community, you've suffered a big loss, but I gained a tremendous amount of respect for every athlete who managed to take the field in a competent way on Friday after suffering that loss early in the week. I think it's just a tremendous. It speaks volumes about, the type of culture that they've built there and what those kids were able to fight through.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Let's get it going with the 2 minute.
Are we ready? It's kind of like one of those.
Let's go.
drills.
Gotta hurry. Hey, 2 minute situation. 44 seconds. Hand the ball around. Gonna do it right. 3 jet Buckeye on 1.
The 2-minute drill starts now.
There was no good transition out of that.
No.
Yeah. The Portland Trail Blazers opened their season this week with losses to the Clippers and the Magic. Justin, is it time to hit the panic button?
No, you want to lose. Panic if you start winning and become a mediocre team. The Seattle Kraken have opened their season with just 2 wins in the first 9 games. Daniel, is it time to hit the panic button?
No, you want to be weren't they a playoff team last year?
Yeah.
They're supposed to be taking a step forward.
Yeah.
I'm wearing my Kraken hat, so I'm going to
Something,
talk like
blah,
I
blah.
remember a couple of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not good.
This is a perfect time to panic.
They are not scoring any goals. And apparently power play's been an issue. So, Seattle trend continues. Power play for the Kraken. Runners in scoring position for the Mariners, and in the red zone for the Seahawks. It's been a struggle. Geno Smith kind of stinks. Speaking of, kind of often. Justin, should the Seahawks do something about that?
I wrote this question before they ended up winning the game. But no, of course not. You're in sole possession of first place in the division. And you just had your quarterback throw the game-winning touchdown.
Yep.
In the final couple minutes of the
it was a
of the fourth
receiver
quarter.
screen, so.
But he threw it.
Yeah.
Geno is the man. Keep him in there. Trust him, even though he threw 2 horrible interceptions and another one that should have been a pick 6 that he got lucky on. Huskies quarterback Michael Penix Jr. put up another impressive stat line on Saturday in a win over someone. Daniel, will he win the Heisman or whatever?
I mean, they barely beat Stanford. Just throwing that out there. They barely beat Stanford.
But he brought the big Penix energy.
What was a game day? Penix power.
Whoa.
Did you see that?
That's inappropriate.
No, the guy on ESPN Game Day was saying Penix.
Oh, he was literally shouting, he brings that big Penix energy.
Not quite.
He did say that.
Did he really?
Exactly
Oh my
that. I
gosh.
heard it repeated on the Lebitard show over and over and over.
Oh, that's
Is
so
this
good.
McAfee? Is that who it was?
No, it was
'Cause
some
that
other
would be
guy.
the brand for McAfee.
Who was
Yeah.
it? I can't remember who
Can't
it
remember
was.
his name.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that's all. That's a 2-minute drill.
Just because I don't see it anywhere on here,
Is Daniel...
I am so heartbroken.
About what? I didn't want to bring up Oregon State. Is that what you're going to do?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about our pain? Because I have pain from this weekend as well.
I heard that you also have pain.
Yeah.
But I think
I
you're.
don't have pain. I'm numb.
I think you're.
Yeah, is it weird that the Cougars kind of stink now?
Yeah. Seriously.
They looked good.
Our old buddy.
USC or not USC? UCLA broke us.
Our old buddy Brendan Carl was texting me last night after the Beavers game, and he's like, "Man, Justin might have to scream into a pillow too because of what happened in North Carolina." And I was like, "Yeah, that sucks, but my pain is worse because nobody expected North Carolina to actually have a shot this year." Really?
Well,
no,
so,
I was just
some
joking.
people did, but I wasn't one of them.
I'm just joking. That's what I mean. You didn't seem like you were aspiring to get to the college football playoff as a Carolina football fan this year.
No. Been
You
let
heard
down
my
too many
hopes
times.
get so freaking high for this Beavers team. But also he said, well, that's why it's nice to be a fan of Nebraska because then you just lose really early and you don't have any expectations. And I was like, oh, that's kind of what Andrew's going through
Who
right
was this?
now. Brendan.
Oh, Brendan.
Brendan
I
Carl.
love. I miss
Yeah.
Brendan.
I miss Brendan too.
Yeah. But anyway,
It was so bad.
I think
It was-
it's also like it's the Pac-12 Pac-12ing,
Yeah.
right? So like they're
100%.
beating each other up. Every team who has a chance to go do something big gets beat up by a team that's not near the
Yeah.
top.
Freaking Arizona.
Yeah. Was it Arizona or Arizona State who almost beat the Huskies last week?
Arizona State.
So it's those Arizona schools who
Yeah.
aren't very good, but are also like giving all kinds of trouble to the actual good teams
Yeah.
in the Pac-12.
Yeah. So frustrating.
Well, Washington has almost lost like 3 games now.
Yeah. They're a really lucky team.
It's kind of hard.
It's kind of ridiculous.
with North Carolina too, because like
Yeah, I'm not bitter or anything.
yeah.
I had 2 years of a Sam Howell led team that I was told was going to take you to college football playoff contention.
Right.
And then when those conversations were happening at the beginning of this year, I was like, guys, come on. Like, we've been through this.
Yep.
You know, I get it. Drake May's great. He's probably going to be a top 3 pick, you know, one of the first 2 quarterbacks off the board in the NFL draft. There's a lot of holes on this team. And also,
our defense, which has been a strength.
I'm kind of just like struggling to care a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about things the way I used to. I don't know if that's an emotional issue inside of me. But
No, you
many
got
of the things that used to bring me joy and I felt real investment in life, I don't care about anymore.
Yeah, you're switching your priorities. I, on the other hand, haven't been this high on a Beavers team and had this much care in a Beavers team for a long time.
Yeah.
But they were positioned and finally had what was supposed to be the quarterback who could take us to the next level to go along with this rebuild. Because Oregon State's had a lot of good quarterbacks in the past, but the rest of the team was garbage. Our defense, our running game, everything else had built up too. All we needed was the quarterback. Now we were supposed to have that in our transfer. And then he's been so inconsistent. At some points, he looks awesome.
Yeah.
And at other points, I'm like, dude, no wonder Clemson cut your butt. Yeah. Like, you know, that's what it's
that
like.
Was the experience when we watched him.
Butt?
Yeah.
I mean, the normal word I would have said there is...
Would have been cut your butt.
So, but then, at the end of this Arizona game, the defense needed a stop to get the ball back to have another shot. And instead of getting a stop, they put together maybe the most uninspired defensive sequence in Beavers history.
Yeah.
They got just rolled over. And I almost threw my phone watching it. Like, everybody else in my house was in bed, and I started like silent swearing to myself. Like, what the?
Oh, you did it silently? You're a better man than I.
Well, when you have 2 kids 2 and under, and they're both asleep, that takes higher importance of keeping them asleep.
Yeah.
Because one of them already gets up like 5 times in the night right now. Teething sucks.
Yeah, agreed.
So anyway, I was just heartbroken. And then the offense, which had done like pretty much nothing the whole game, scores in 40 seconds after that. Like, boop, 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 touchdown. And you're like, where was that the last 60 minutes?
Yeah. Dang Beavers. Well, at least
And
the
then
Huskies
they should have got the onside kick.
At least the Huskies have a decent shot to make it to the college football playoff. So you have a chance as a Beaver fan to play spoiler in a few weeks against Washington.
Dude, you know what I'm rooting for now? I'm rooting for UW to go undefeated until they face Oregon State and then lose that game and then lose the Apple Cup the next week. That would be the best. I want Oregon to go undefeated until the Civil War.
Okay.
And so Oregon State can then knock both of them out, win the Pac-12 with 2 wins or 2 losses, and then play in the Pac-12 title game, win that. See, I'm talking myself into it, Justin, that there's still going to be hope.
They already lost the Pac-12 title game. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
feel kind of bad about it.
That's a good
Less
point.
bad now that they lost last night.
Exactly.
We have 2 good comments. Is D Little Daniel?
Yeah.
Okay, we got a couple good comments from Daniel we need to address. One is that he didn't hold the second interception against Geno. That was a big dude making an extremely athletic play, and I would 100% agree with him on that. And that was my initial reaction, was like, whoa, that's a 290-pound man who dropped into a passing lane, tipped it up, and caught it.
Yeah.
But then also I was like, you just threw an interception within arm's length of a 290-pound defensive lineman. So, like, 50-50? Like, it's Geno's fault, but it was also a great play?
Both.
And then the other one was North Carolina dropping out of the AP and down 8 in the coach poll to 25 is a lot worse than the Beavers dropping 5 spots.
That's true.
And you know what, Daniel? I hear you.
Yeah.
I probably should be feeling more pain, but I don't because I was ready for it.
Right.
Because North Carolina is a basketball school, and they're just doing things to keep them busy in the off season.
I don't know.
You know,
like,
my favorite part is Andrew turns around to talk to us.
Oh, yeah,
so
sorry.
basically, the only time he talks, you see the back of his head on the video.
But while that is true, North Carolina is a team in basketball who started the season the AP #1 preseason team and then missed the tournament because the committee decided that would be a better story if they missed the tournament. That's beside the point. They ended up missing the tournament after winning 21 games and not having a single bad loss, but that's beside the point. And then this year they're like,
that is a little bit of a surprise.
Is it next year that we go to 12 teams?
For college football?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
No, I think they put that on hold. I
What?
think they said they were going to put the college football playoff expansion
I will riot.
on
Me too.
hold.
Why are they putting it on hold?
Until conference realignment is settled.
Oh.
It will never be settled.
Yeah,
So-
seriously, it's not going to get settled.
Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty
NCAA doesn't want
sure.
to spend a bunch of money when they realize that they're not going to exist in like a decade.
Yeah.
Daniel says, but they haven't lost. Talking about UW. Yes, that's correct.
That's true. And you know what? I know you
That's
guys
why we're
probably will end up hating me for this, but
Yeah.
I will root for the Huskies because I generally root for whatever Pac-12 team that isn't Oregon to make it to the college football playoff if possible because I want the Pac-12 to have a representative.
I care, but it's always the teams that I hate the
I
most.
will-
I can't root for I've tried rooting for Oregon
Yeah.
and hoping that they do well, and I fail at it.
Yeah.
I do dislike Oregon more than Washington, and people will probably be angry at me for that, but I still can't root for Washington.
Yeah.
I will not be bitter and hate the people for their joy if Washington were to get into the playoff.
Yeah. New
But
money
I
is
wouldn't-
worse than
I
old
wouldn't
money.
root for it.
Nick Sisson from N2 Media says, "Go UW, baby." We got a couple of Cougar grads here. Not me. I'm a college dropout. But the other two people in this room are Cougar grads, and one of them is a diehard Oregon State fan. So you're not going to get a ton of support on UW love. But like I said, UW remains undefeated. I'm rooting for them until they lose because I want to see UW be the representative into the college football playoff. And I actually think that it's open enough at the top that there's not one team or two teams that are so much clearly better than everyone else that if Washington gets in there, they have enough offensive firepower, they're going to make some waves.
Yeah. Do you think that with all the stuff going on around Michigan that they'll still let them into the playoff?
I do, yeah, because money.
Oh.
Yeah, because Michigan's good money.
I forgot about money.
Yeah, money. You forgot about money?
There it
Well, you know
is.
who didn't forget about money? The college football playoff and the NCAA.
And the are they the Big Ten?
Big Ten, yeah.
Oh, yeah, they are only about money. Because
Yeah.
they're going to let Eugene, Oregon into the freaking Big Ten.
Eugene,
In
Oregon.
Oregon.
What a crap town. Oh, my
they're
gosh.
the worst.
That's a horrible place.
Anyway.
I've never been there.
It's the worst.
Would you like to move on?
Yes.
To my favorite part of the show?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Serving questions up on a silver platter where the points are made up and the rules don't matter. Time for Stump Daniel.
Did you realize the throwback jersey I found
You do
today?
not have a throwback jersey on, Daniel.
Yes, I do.
No,
Yeah.
you have an old jersey on.
What's the difference?
A throwback jersey is a new jersey
That they made to look like an
looks
old.
Nope,
jersey.
New Jersey is a state. I know that because I'm good at geography.
How close is it to us, Justin?
It's just around the corner. It's a hop, skip, and a jump from Iowa, which is real close.
Wait, so were there any differences? Like, are the throwback jerseys identical to the '90s jersey?
I actually
or
saw
are
a
they-
post
are
on
you-
social
are you
media about
serious?
this.
Yeah,
No, they're modern jerseys. They're just the old colors. So
the
jersey-
design is what I'm talking about. Like-
I don't,
The Seahawks did not
Like,
wear.
obviously, they're not wearing the baggy jerseys of the '90s. I'm not.
that's part
The
of the
Seahawks did
style.
not wear a
Like, that's
jersey
part of
today
the whole
with
thing.
the style of what you're wearing.
This is '80s actually, because this is a Largent jersey.
Yeah. Well, and that's what was.
This
my
is
point.
also a Walmart special Largent jersey, so it doesn't say Largent on the back.
Oh, that's sad.
But this did get me the nickname of Steve at basketball open gyms when I was a freshman. And I had no idea what they were talking about.
I know a lot of guys named Steve.
Somebody was like, "Hey, nice shot, Steve." And I'm like, "Who's Steve?" I shot that.
Wait, so when you started wearing this number 80 Seahawks jersey from the 80s, you did not know that it was a Steve Largent jersey?
No, I didn't. I wasn't that big into the Seahawks before,
How old were
like,
you at this point?
Before, like, college.
How old were you at this point?
I was 14.
I feel like you should have known who Steve Largent was.
I probably might blame my dad.
Wow. We went straight to blaming Mr. Hardwick.
My dad did tell me after that, though, because he was at the open gym, and I was like, my dad was like, hey, they were calling you Steve out there. And I was like, yeah, Dad, I have no idea why.
Your dad was like, "That's great."
Yeah, and I'm like, what are you talking
And you were
about?
like, Dad, I didn't do anything. Like, I know you think I was causing trouble because of who I am, but it wasn't me. Like, those guys were just calling me Steve for no reason. And he was like, no, son, it's fine. It's a compliment.
Yeah.
You're basically Steve Largent.
Yeah.
You would have been if you had played high school football.
Your father-in-law would be horrified. Yeah, probably.
Anyway, we are moving on to my favorite part of the
Yes.
show, which is Stump Daniel, brought to you by the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz, no relation.
What's the A stand for?
And Daniel, I thought since the NBA season just started, did you know that?
I did, but barely.
Yeah, the NBA season just started. I decided I would go grab the NBA's...
I think Andrew's trying to drown us out because you're talking about NBA.
That's fair.
Yep.
I'm surprised he didn't hit the buzzer. This is going to be quick. I decided to grab the NBA's betting favorites to win the finals this season. Daniel, there are two teams at the top of this list who are tied as the betting favorites to win the NBA finals this year. This is a pass-fail. There's no convoluted scoring system where you can land in different zones. No beaver zone. No duck zone.
What?
No grades, no points. This is pass-fail. You have 5 chances to tell me the two teams that are the betting favorites to win the NBA Finals this year.
Okay. The 5 chances seems like a little bit more of a gift.
Well, it's
but
NBA, so like none of us are following it
that's
that
true.
closely.
I'm gonna say Milwaukee.
Milwaukee
Bucks.
is one of them.
Nice.
The Bucks were, I think they were 4th until they made the acquisition of Dame. And now with Damian Lillard, they are one of the betting favorites to win the NBA Finals.
Shocker.
Daniel, who is the other one?
Los Angeles Lakers.
They are 5th in betting odds to win the NBA Finals. 2 guesses down, and you have one of the answers.
Let's see. Oh, Denver Nuggets.
The Denver Nuggets are 3rd
What?
in betting odds to win the NBA Finals, which
Explain
is
it
pretty
again
crazy.
to me. Explain it again to me with those nuggies. Sorry, that's the best commercial going right now.
That's pretty good. The Andy Reid one,
Andy Reid's
I really like it.
hilarious.
He did a good job.
Explain it again to me with those nuggies.
So the Nuggets are plus 550 to win, and this is according to BetMGM, but I also did check FanDuel, and the numbers are pretty similar.
Okay.
So the Nuggets are plus 550. The two teams who are tied as favorites to win the NBA Finals are plus 400.
That's bizarre. That
Yeah.
you
You got 2 more guesses. I would have thought Bucks and Nuggets.
Bucks and Nuggets is another guess on here. N2 Media.
Yeah, that's from Nick.
Is that for it? Who's N2 Media?
N2 Media is Nick Sisson.
Nick.
He covers sports
Nick?
down in the La Center area,
Oh, interesting.
down south, and they actually.
Oh, and we're going to be talking about that because playoffs, crossover coming up
True.
here.
And for people who don't know, N2 Media, if you're interested in high school football across the state, as I am, if you're interested in spending a couple of hours a week listening to a show that will give you an update of all classifications across the state, they do not only do they do picks every week of games, and they do a fair amount of our local Grace Harbor and Pacific County games. The guy Tyson, who's on the show with Nick, also does weekly rankings for all the classifications. They go through that. And they discuss top performances from around the state as well. So if you haven't checked out N2 Media, or Tyson's handle on Twitter is Recruit Radar, go check out those guys, and they've got a lot of good info on statewide high school football.
Nice.
But for now, you still have a couple more guesses here.
Miami Heat.
The Miami Heat are not correct. And in fact, I was surprised to find out on BetMGM, they're not even in the top 10. They were
What?
12th.
What?
On FanDuel, they were 10th.
Ooh, that might be a little bit of an opportunity.
They did have a big swing and a miss on acquiring Damian Lillard, though. And the Miami Heat have done this thing where they're like kind of okay in the regular season and then they turn it on in the playoffs. But they've been to the finals 2 out of the last 3 years.
Yeah.
You got one more guess.
This is to make the finals? Or
To win the finals.
Win the finals.
Okay.
The Clippers.
The Clippers are 6th on the list. Daniel, you failed. You failed. Bad job by you.
Who is it?
Andrew, can you give me a wah-wah?
Did Nick
might
just
be
get
able
it?
to someday. Here we go.
Some people might have guessed the Phoenix Suns with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, and with added depth with the trade. They were involved in the 3-team trade that sent Damian Lillard to the Bucks.
My dad just said, I assume he tried to type Phoenix and then it autocorrected to Phonic.
Well, Phonic was 4th on the list.
So
that's
Phonic.
also wrong.
It wasn't the Phonic Soons.
The correct answer, which sort of honestly boggles my mind, is the Boston Celtics.
What?
The Celtics.
The Boston Celtics still have the core of Jason Tatum and Jalen.
That guy. Yep.
Brown.
There it is.
And they added Kristaps Porzingis to their team this year.
Oh.
They got rid of what's
That's
happening.
An amazing name.
Kristaps Porzingis, the unicorn. They also they shipped out Malcolm Brogdon to the Blazers, and they shipped out Marcus Smart, and they brought in Drew Holiday. So they're going to have a new look team, which I looked at on paper and thought,
not great.
That's worse, because they also got rid of Robert Williams, and they lost Grant Williams, which were two of their best defensive players for a defensive-minded team.
Yeah,
I thought they got worse, and they, in fact, apparently, according to the betting odds, got better.
It's so weird.
This has been Stump Daniel, brought to you by the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz.
What's the A stand for? You know what that tells me is because the odds are kind of driven by people who bet a lot, right?
But those were like
Boston is like just a bunch of degenerate gamblers who all are homers, apparently.
Yeah. Well, the odds are driven by partly on what people bet, but also partly on what the books know people will bet.
Right.
I think
so they know that.
I think they start based on what betting the bookies believe the public will bet, and then they respond to the way the public is betting.
Well, there's two things we know about Boston sports fans.
They're the worst.
Degenerate gamblers and racists.
Oh, yeah. I
and
forgot about that part.
Outside of that, like, maybe they really care about their teams. They have terrible accents. Thank you, Andrew. So bad accents, racists, and degenerate gamblers. That's what we know about Boston sports fans. That's why they are my number one most hated fan base, closely followed by Philadelphia.
Wow, more than Philadelphia.
It's like you're grouping the whole city fan base, not the team.
No, yeah,
correct.
He's talking about
regional
like
fan base,
New England Patriot fans, Boston Celtics fans, Boston Red Sox fans,
Boston Bruins fans. Oh man.
So that kind of makes sense because I was thinking, well, the Yankees are
the
fans are just awful.
Yeah, they're the worst too.
But there's a lot of New York Mets fans, and I don't have anything against them because they're long suffering also.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And so I could see how, like, it isn't New York fans. It's plus,
just
can
Yankees
you imagine
fans.
being a Jets fan? I mean,
or a Giants fan.
Or
you know
or
what's
a
funny?
Knicks fan?
I was texting my
Being a
son
Knicks fan would be
when there was
awful, too.
so the Jets and the Giants played each other today. This is a complete aside, sort of, but the Giants were winning by 3 points, and it looked like they were going to win the game late in the fourth quarter. They had -8 passing yards as a team because Tyrod Taylor had passed for like 8 yards, but then their quarterbacks had been sacked 4 times, and so they'd been driven back more than that. So they finished the game with -9 passing yards, but they lost in overtime. Like they almost won the game with -8 passing yards as a team. Would that have been crazy?
That would have been like the best stat of all time. Oh boy.
Would you?
That was a good one.
Yeah,
I like that. I'm thinking I need to go drop 100 on the Miami Heat just because they're like outside the top 10.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so if
Well,
they
we don't live in
happen
a
to win-
gambling state, so you
Yeah,
have
so
to
we
go.
have to go to Vegas.
No,
have
you
to
don't.
fly
No,
to Vegas?
you can go to Little Creek actually.
Oh, okay.
You can
That's
go to Little
right.
Creek
Yeah.
Casino in Shelton, and you can bet there.
Oh.
So it's legal on like the native casinos, but it's not legal across the board.
Andrew spelling out your name phonetically is hilarious.
That's right, though, right?
Damashevitz.
Damashevitz.
You know what's really funny to me?
I've never seen it spelled like that before. But
Can I give
Damashevitz.
one little
Yeah,
side thing about what happened in Elma that's not, it's a criticism, but it's not a criticism.
Okay.
So the PA announcer in Elma
Dude, there
Pronounced-
was some really funny mispronounced.
pronounced my son's name,
Yeah.
Damashevitz, correctly every time.
Nice.
I heard it, but mispronounced Bodie Polar as Bode Polar the whole game.
Well,
That's
that
not
one I
And-
can understand. He spells his name
A
weird.
lot of people spell Bodie that way.
Well, that's a weird way
And
to
also-
spell something that you want pronounced Odie.
Why
you don't
does-
spell it ODE? Like,
No, yeah.
I
it should be
totally
an
get.
IE.
Like, even if people spell it that way, that's silly. I'm sorry, Bodie. I love you, but your name's
Well,
spelled
that's
weird.
not Bodie's fault. That's a blast on his parents.
Yes, it is.
But also, when you look at the name Gabe Bodwell,
That's the one that I heard.
okay, so he was calling him Bodwell,
Bodwell.
but also
See, that's the
he's
thing.
not alone there because in visiting stadiums they call him Bodwell about 50% of the time, and I'm like, how do you look at Bodwell and think it says Bodwell?
Yeah, there's no E.
That's the thing. You can't pronounce both of those names the same. You can't say Bode Polar and then Gabe Bodwell.
You're
Yeah.
right.
You're just missing one of those things. Can't like you
Did
can't.
it make you think that the Elma PA guy was doing it on purpose?
Well,
Like-
if I was the PA guy, I'm just like, because this might happen in the future. I might get the chance to be a PA guy. If I ever do a rivalry game, I'm mispronouncing the other team on purpose.
Will you say Rivalry?
Oh. You
Now
know
he will.
what?
Now he will.
Low blow. That, sir, was a low blow.
Because about 30% of the time I say that word in my everyday life, I say Rivalry.
just to make fun of me.
Just
in your
because
head.
in my head, it's in my head. I'm not even like, hey, I'm going to make fun of Daniel. It's just how that word pops into my head.
Yeah.
Because it's
Like the way-
been such a thing
Yep.
that Daniel once said Rivalry
Like the way I say
The
corn.
first
on
time
a broadcast.
Yeah, the first time I was ever on the radio,
Yeah.
ever in my life.
You know, you should be able to get over that by
And
now.
I got
because
done with
You've had
it.
a lot of other really stellar broadcasts since then.
You've been on the radio a lot since then.
That's true.
Dozens of times.
Lots of dozens.
Yeah.
How many game broadcasts have I done?
Are we at hundreds? Are you at dozens or hundreds?
Holy crap.
Decades.
Well, I've been doing it since I was 19.
Yeah.
And you're really old.
And
now.
you're what, 55 now?
Yeah. Pushing 56.
Are you 34?
Yeah, 34.
Okay.
So 16 years.
Yeah.
So I've easily done over 100.
Yeah.
But you have to
But you
got to
get to 200
for
before it's
hundreds.
hundreds. I think until you get to 200, it's just
Dude.
dozens.
Dude, think about it, though. Those runs
Scores.
with
It's
Monty's
scores.
scores.
Yeah.
What's that? A score is
20?
24?
Scores 20?
20?
Yeah.
Think about like those years with the Monty girls basketball team and the Hoquiam boys basketball team, where me and you were doing like 13 games in a week because districts is ridiculous.
Yeah. Do you also remember that, like, way back in the day when we first started doing it together and the Monty Hoquiam girls basketball games always ended like 18-21? Because
Dude, yeah.
they both were like, they couldn't put the ball in the hoop, but they were just so physical. And it was like, what do we even talk about during these games? So-and-so punched so-and-so in the face. Oh, there's another blocked shot. Good job. So-and-so dribbled the ball off her knee. Hey, there's a basket. That's kind of how it went.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh, Andrew, get ready because we are going to take a break. And up after that break, lots of local sports to talk about and lots to look forward to because playoffs.
I just want to win a game.
We've got lots to talk about after this. Word from our sponsors.
Do you have a legal situation and need someone on your side? Let the law office of Jeffrey A. Damashevitz be your advocate. If you've been the victim of medical malpractice, suffered a personal injury, or need representation with real estate law, small business law, or estate planning, let Jeff Damashevitz put his 29 years of experience to work for you. Call Jeff Damashevitz today at 360-612-3991 or visit damashevitzlaw.com. That's DAMASIEWICZLAW.com.
Thank you again to our sponsors, the Law Office of Jeffrey A. Damashevitz and Spivey Realty Group, the sponsor of our Spivey Athlete of the Week, which we will be announcing later on in this show. Again, thank you to our sponsors. Without you guys, wouldn't be possible for us to do this, and as media seems to be getting harder and harder to do in small locations, we think that we provide a service. So thank you for helping us.
We're
help
here
them.
for you.
No, we're here for the athletes.
Andrew yelled while doing something else that we're here for the athletes.
Yeah, we're here for the athletes.
Yep.
That's accurate.
Yep, that is accurate. So, now that Andrew's also not next to his keyboard, let's get the second half of the show rolling with the local sports roundup.
Montesano wrapped up an undefeated football regular season and a complete league shutout with a 49-0 win over Elma on Friday at Davis Field. A trio of Bulldogs scored twice in the game. Mason Rasmussen caught a touchdown pass and returned an interception for another score. Tarek Gunter and Bode Polar each caught one touchdown and ran for another. Gabe Bodwell rushed for a touchdown as well. His 18th of the season. He also eclipsed the 1,100-yard mark in that game.
Nice. Tyson
Perry threw 3 touchdown passes for Monty. Peyton Damashevitz, no relation, recorded 2 sacks and a fumble recovery for Montesano, bringing his team-high sack total to 6 on the season. The 4th-ranked Bulldogs now are 9-0 on the season and defeated their 4 1A Evergreen League opponents by a combined score of 184-0. Monty allowed only 27 points during the regular season, winning by an average score of 45-3, with their closest margin of victory being a 28-point win at Castle Rock in Week 4. The Bulldogs will host Stevenson on Friday.
We get it already.
The Bulldogs will host Stevenson. Monty's really good. The Bulldogs will host Stevenson on Friday in a loser-out winner district crossover game.
Aberdeen survived a scare from Schmelton trailing 6-0 at half, but secured the 2A Evergreen's 3rd seed. Thank goodness I don't have a Kansas City tiebreaker to cover, with a 26-19 victory on Friday at Stewart Field in Aberdeen. Aiden Watkins carried the load for the Bobcats, rushing it 29 times for 192 yards and a touchdown. Oh man, he's got to be close to 1,000 yards too now.
Absolutely, he's a stud.
I think he needed like a little over 200 or something like that. He also caught 3 passes for 24 yards. Grady Springer hit Marcus Hale with a 35-yard touchdown pass early in the 4th quarter. Springer also rushed for 59 yards and a score. Micah Schroeder took his only carry for the game, 4 yards for a touchdown, and later converted a 2-point try on a pass from Springer. The Bobcats will have to wait for the result of a Kansas tiebreaker, kind of. Did you see my text about that? I'm not sure that ever went through.
Yeah.
They don't understand what that means. Anyway, on Monday, to see if they will travel to Ridgefield, Washougal, or Hudson's Bay for a district crossover game, I vote for Ridgefield because I'm covering that game, and that's kind of closer than those other places.
Still almost 2 hours away. Hoke Williams' football game this week was about more than just football. Eatonville traveled to Olympic Stadium to face the Grizzlies and left town with a 40-0 win. However, the story of the game was the touching tributes to Eatonville's Jason Naro, who tragically passed away last week. Hoke Williams painted a blue 33 on the field, Jason's number, at the 33-yard line, wore decals on their helmets in Jason's honor, as did the Eatonville players, and observed a moment of silence to remember the Cruiser athlete. Hoke Williams' football season is over with a 1-8 record, but hats off to all Grizzlies involved in helping the Eatonville players, coaches, and fans through a tremendously difficult game, and best of luck to the Cruisers as they host Castle Rock in a district crossover next week. I will be rooting for you. Daniel might be.
It's up in the air.
Yeah.
Raymond South Bend picked up a much-needed win on Thursday, 56-24 at Morton White Pass. The Ravens hit the gas early on offense, scoring 5 touchdowns in the first quarter.
That's a lot.
Yep, beginning with Farrell Johnson.
He's good.
And Farrell. No, wait. Returning the opening kick, 75 yards for a score. Johnson also scored on runs of 72 and 57 yards in the first frame and added a 4th touchdown on a 28-yard run in the second quarter. The senior rushed for 218 yards on just 10 carries. Robbie Stegall and Austin Snodgrass added 2 rushing touchdowns apiece for RSB. The Ravens will host Toledo in a district crossover game on Friday in South Bend.
218 rushing yards on 10 carries and 4 total touchdowns. We just call that Farrell Johnson doing Farrell Johnson things because it's pretty much who he is.
Yep.
PL Willapa Valley closed out its regular season with a disappointing 58-15 loss to Onalaska on Thursday. Excuse me, I'm so sorry.
There you go.
Blake Howard. I'm better now. Blake Howard led the Titans with 107 rushing yards, and Blaine King caught 7 passes for 114 yards. PWV will host Rainier in a district pigtail game on Tuesday in Menlo. We should talk a little bit about the weird coin flip thing they had to decide the 2 through 4 seeds in that conference.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff going on.
Yeah.
When it's very odd. Odd things abound. Montesano's volleyball team extended its winning streak to 9 matches and claimed the 1A Evergreen title with a 3-1 win over Hoquiam on Thursday. The Bulldogs finished 8-0 in league play, and the Grizzlies finished 6-2, second in the league. Carissa Otterstetter stuffed the stat sheet for Montesano with 36 assists, 15 digs, 6 blocks, and 3 aces. Carly Wisdom led the Bulldogs with 13 kills and 11 blocks. Christina Goulet had 20 kills. Had 20 kills for Hoquiam, while Lexi Labounty added 34 digs and Caitlin Broadhead dished out 30 assists. Monty will open the district tournament on Wednesday with a home match against Castle Rock. Hoquiam will take on Seton Catholic in Castle Rock. Wisdom and Otterstetter led Monty to a 3-0 win over WF West on Tuesday as well. Otterstetter had 28 assists and 14 digs in that contest, while Wisdom continued her kill streak with 15. That's like a Halo reference there.
It is, yeah. I did a Halo reference. Good job by me. Elma's volleyball team earned a playoff spot with a straight-set victory at Eatonville on Wednesday. Aubrey Moore had a solid all-around performance for the Eagles with 7 kills, 3 aces, and 10 assists. Allison Warren recorded 19 digs. Janessa Sackrider had 6 kills, and Tatum Sanders added 8 assists.
There's another Sackrider?
Elma Elma will open district tourney play on Wednesday.
Is this Jalen's little sister?
It's got to be, right?
Come on, man. You're supposed to know these
It's
things.
got to be Jalen's little sister.
Raymond South Bend closed out its perfect league season with a straight set win over Ocosta on Wednesday. Kendall Koski was perfect in service for the Ravens and recorded 4 aces and 17 digs. Berkeley Morley also perfect in service and had 11 digs to go along with 12 assists. Emily Howell also perfect. Wow, their service was perfect.
They
would get some really good tips.
They had 5 bars.
Probably 30 to 35% in tips with service that great.
Yeah. Well, they also had such good service they had 5 bars, even out in Raymond.
Wow.
So
impressive.
Amazing.
Emily Howell also added 8 kills for RSB. Ocosta's Alexia Bradley had 11 kills and 4 solo blocks, while her teammates Noelle Kuzday and Jolissa Schlegel added 14 and 13 digs respectively. Both teams will open district tournament play on Saturday.
Aberdeen's girls soccer team finished its league schedule tied for second place with a 4-2 record after an overtime PK's victory at Centralia on Thursday. Neither team scored through regulation or 2 overtime periods.
Wow.
Zoe Tro, Annie Tro, Abby Manio, and Scotland Lecomte converted penalty kicks for the Bobcats, who won the shootout 4-2. Aberdeen will open district tourney play at Ridgefield on Tuesday.
Awesome. Elma's soccer team secured second place in the 1A Evergreen League with a 1-0 win at Eatonville on Wednesday. Alea Weld scored the match's lone goal in the 35th minute off an assist from Addison Berger. Eagles standout keeper Emmy Spencer recorded yet another clean sheet. Reigning district champ Elma will open district tourney play on Tuesday when they host Columbia White Salmon.
Montesano closed out its regular season with a 7-0 win at Hoquiam on Wednesday. Freshman striker Jalen Butterfield scored a first-half hat trick to help power the Bulldogs to a 6-0 halftime lead. Bethany Henderson scored twice for Monty, and Ada Potts added another goal. As Evergreen 1A champions, Monty will have a first-round bye in the district tourney and will host a semifinal game on Thursday.
Led by freshman Haley Schwepp, Montesano's girls claimed the team title at the District 4 Championship cross-country meet at Lewis River Golf Course in Woodland on Thursday. This is really weird. Schwepp took first place, which is odd because she beat league champ Oqueen senior Jane Never Stops Running roll-off by 14 seconds. Did Jane slip and fall? Did we ever get more information on this?
I don't know.
Did she come around a corner and just eat it somewhere?
I don't know.
It's weird. Anyway, I'm not taking anything away from...
Right?
Yeah.
So I actually had a thought about that. It's possible, and this is only from my experience as a swimmer. If a swimmer is aiming at state, if they're aiming to set a personal record at state, then they don't have a good performance at districts because they are super heavy. They're working out super heavy in the early parts of a taper that will put them in a position to maximize their performance at state.
So could be tapering, could also be, I was told that, I didn't follow cross country super closely through the regular season, but I was told that Haley Schweppe actually may have beaten Jane Roloff a couple times during the regular season as well.
Oh, wow.
As a freshman.
Dang. Reigning state champ. Where am I at? Jane Roloff and the reigning state champ. Ooh.
So she not only beat Jane, but she also beat the reigning state champion.
By 22 seconds.
Yeah.
Montesano Junior Samantha Schweppe, relation? Probably.
I think it's her sister.
Placed 6th. And another Monty freshman, Zoe Ray, finished 10th. On the boys' side, Montesano placed 3rd as a team led by 3rd place finish by Benjamin Anderson. Monty's Jesse Anderson placed 8th, and Hoquiam's Riker Maxfield took 15th.
In the 2A cross-country meet, Aberdeen had a duo of high finishers in the district meet, also in Woodland, on Thursday. Mia Halleck placed 5th with a time of 20 minutes and 3 seconds, while her teammate Aylin Haggard was just 8 seconds behind her in 6th place. On the boys' side, Aberdeen got a 3rd place finish from Henry Nelson with a time of 16 minutes and 43 seconds, and that will do it for the local sports roundup.
2 things. Were you getting a weird click in your headphones?
I got it like
then?
4 times.
Okay, I wonder what that was.
The course of it.
The other thing is I want to talk about that since Nick says he's going to be streaming the Greater St. Helens 2A tiebreaker tomorrow.
Okay.
They called it that screenshot you sent said Kansas tiebreaker.
Yeah.
But then it said this team won a coin flip, which gave them a bye. And then basically it just broke down a 3-team tournament with 1 team getting a bye. That's not what a Kansas City tiebreaker is, or a Kansas tiebreaker.
A Kansas City or Kansas tiebreaker, which nobody I've ever been able to find knows which one is right or what the origin is.
Right.
Is where everyone plays each other once.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's not what they said. They said this team gets a bye.
But it's almost that.
These 2 teams will play each other, and the winner will take on that team.
So if you're interested in watching that and figuring out who Aberdeen's opponent is going to be, go follow N2 Media on Twitter or Facebook or YouTube or all 3.
Yeah, where
and they'll have a live stream on that. He usually, I assume it's YouTube, but also when N2 Media does their shows, it often streams on multiple platforms at the same time.
Cool.
That's a thing that I haven't tried to figure out how to do yet.
Got it.
We're not quite that advanced.
Yeah. But I'm going to try and find it because that'll be telling me where my Friday night is going to be.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long drive.
Also, like, those Kansas City tiebreakers are fun to watch.
Those
sometimes.
are bonkers.
It's a lot of action packed into a short amount of time.
But this will be a little bit less so because, again, there's not the threat that it will just restart and keep going.
Yeah.
Because in the Kansas tiebreaker,
maybe that's what
if
they're
they
trying
all
to
play,
avoid.
they probably are, and
Because
that's
they're trying not to make kids play more than they have to when they have a game on Friday.
This is a valid way of doing this. I'm
Yeah.
not saying this isn't valid. This is an excellent way to do this, but don't call it something it's not. This is a 3-team tournament, and you decided who got a bye with a coin flip.
But also, I actually did a pretty deep dive Google search
I have
into
also done that research.
what's the origin of Kansas tiebreaker or Kansas City tiebreaker and which one is right, and I can't find it.
Yeah.
Like, is it a Kansas tiebreaker or a Kansas City tiebreaker, and where did that name come from?
Didn't it just start in Kansas?
Apparently not, because
there
no
was
one has recorded that fact.
There was a playoff. There was a
deep of a dive.
playoff system that started in Kansas, but it was a different playoff system. That's what I came up with on my search.
Gotcha.
So anyway, we could, you know what? Let's try to figure this out this
Yeah.
week, and maybe next week we can bring it back and figure out like what the actual origin is.
Right.
So when Aberdeen was in the Kansas City tiebreaker, like, what, 3 years ago now?
Gosh, well, they've
Last
been
year they
in,
were in one.
They've been in it so many
But
times that I've lost count.
When I was helping out with the coaching,
Yeah.
I went in a deep dive because I was like, oh, it's a Kansas City tiebreaker. I'll look up the official rules of a Kansas
Yeah.
City tiebreaker. Guess what?
They
Those
don't
aren't
exist.
a thing.
They don't exist.
It's literally not a thing.
And where did it come from? Like, you should be able to Google search either Kansas tiebreaker or Kansas City tiebreaker origin
Right.
and find what you're looking for.
That's what.
But I couldn't find it. And I looked for like 4 minutes. So, anyway, Daniel.
Are you getting weird clicks?
I am.
Okay, so then the sound will be back. If the sound is back, then the sound will.
So state high school associations used a mishmash of schemes until the 70s when the modern form of tie-breaking emerged in Kansas.
Oh, the sound is back.
It's not good though. It's echoey.
It's weird.
I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on.
I'm now hearing. I'm going to turn my volume down.
What's
You know what's funny? We have so many people watching the show right now.
I know.
Like,
Like, by the show where just everything goes to crap.
everything usually, people, if you're listening right now, things usually go well. This is going poorly. We got weird clicks. Promise
What?
that our producer will make this better.
So the Kansas playoff, that's a tie-breaking system. So,
It cut out because I was trying to fix it and it didn't fix it.
all right,
Is it back now?
Are we back yet?
Can people hear us?
They can hear you now.
Okay.
It's coming. The sound is coming through a webcam.
Webcam
mic, and I don't have. I'm not getting anything from this thing.
So basically, the Kansas tiebreaker system.
Are we off again?
I don't know.
No, you should be good.
Oh, are we just talking through the?
Oh wait.
Webcam?
No. Yeah, I believe you are.
Okay. So the Kansas tiebreaking system is what happens at the end of like college football games. So that's the thing. That is that. So to have a Kansas City tiebreaker, I don't know. That's all I found that's just how they broke ties at the end of games.
We're just descending into the muck right now.
Yeah.
Where not only are people now getting
audio through a webcam instead of through our fancy
It's
high
working
paid.
now.
Oh, it is.
Hey!
And we're getting some dings through the computer that we apologize. And again, I know we have more people watching than we normally do. Andrew feels bad, but he shouldn't.
Yeah, it's not his fault.
That's frustrating.
All right.
Do you have a goals update?
We do we have a goals update?
Daniel, hit us with a goals update. This is Grays Harbor Goals FC. It is a local club soccer organization that has several teams, and Daniel is going to let you know what's going on with them.
All right. The boys U11 team won 8-0 on Saturday. Ansel had a great game with 3 assists and 2 goals. Today, the U11 team are playing in a battle of undefeateds. First for second. That's not, okay. Are we good?
We're back?
Okay.
Evergreen
United is a perfect 8-0-0, and the Gulls have a record of 7-0-1. The Gulls can win today. They move into first place with 1 game left in the season. The G10 youth team U14 beat the Fusion 5-1. This is the Fusion's first loss at home this season. This one also moves the girls into first place. Anna scored 3, and that gives her second hat trick this season. Gulls boys U10 team won 5-2. Thiago securing the win with another hat trick. This win puts the boys in third place with a couple games left in the season. Gulls B11 won 3-0. Goals coming from Liam, Julian, and Giovanni. They are currently in third place. The Gulls 09 Premier had a doubleheader
This is the one I've
weekend
been waiting for.
on the road in Eastern Washington for their final 2 matches of the season. Saturday, they were in Spokane. They lost 2-3 in that one. Today, they're still on the road, and they tied 0-0.
Okay.
That tie secures third place.
Hey, that's great.
This season comes after the Gulls B09 team going 2 seasons undefeated and in select and making the massive jump to not only Premier League but to the NPL Super League. Yeah. Getting third with a record of 4-4-2 at this level says a lot for these young men and the direction they are heading. They had 2 seasons of dominance. They have now tasted defeat and don't like it.
So perspective for people.
Yep.
That was a team, I know if you watch the show a lot, you know this, but that team, they were so good at normal people soccer.
Yeah.
That it was like, hey, we're going to move you up not to the next league, but to the league above the league above the league.
Yep.
And so they're now playing Premier and Super League. And they went into that going like, all right, guys, we've never done this kind of level of competition. Let's just not stink. Yep. And for part of the season, they were actually top of the table. They were in first place. They were doing really well. They finished, you say 4-4-2?
Yeah, 4-4-2, and they finished third.
Compare in the league that they were in,
nuts.
By comparison to the expectation, that's really good. So congratulations to that boys 09 team.
All of this coming from Coach Eddie, who says, also, you can reword a lot of this. Just some of my thoughts. Sorry, I didn't have the time, Eddie. Just reading it.
Yeah. I really appreciate Coach Eddie and Coach Daniel for how much time they put into putting the players forward.
Yep. Eddie says the team he coaches, the BO5. They are in first place, and last night they won 2-1 in their final game of the season. The league championship depends on the Wenatchee game. If Wenatchee wins or ties, they are the champs. If they lose, then the Gulls are the champs. Either way, the boys had an amazing season. They won 8 straight games to finish the year, and they led the league in goals scored. If they don't win the league this year, I guarantee they're coming after it next year. Player nominations. Ansel from BU11, select team with 3 assists and 2 goals in an 8-0 win. Anna from G10 with the hat trick. Thiago with the hat trick. Just waiting on word from the B11. Let's see. Wenatchee tied today, so they won over that team in that league that we were just talking about, the team that Eddie coaches. In other goals news, with the BO5 season ending, it's time for the ladies to start up again. So following the high school season, once state is done, they'll be holding tryouts for their U19 team. That's the GO5, the girls 05 team. So, and they're looking to defend their title. Last season was their first, and they went undefeated. They are now recruiting to strengthen the team and is welcoming back Coach Ty and bringing aboard Coach Victor. Coach Ty plays for the Gulls men's team and is the head coach for the GU10 and the GU11. So they're recruiting for that team that I think Emmy Spencer played on last year. So they wait till after girls' high school season's over and then hold tryouts, and then they start another select season. Whew.
That team was really good.
Yes, really,
Well,
good.
any team with Emmy Spencer on it is going to be really good.
Exactly. All right.
We have one other comment from Nick from N2 Media, which is, if you're Aberdeen, pray you don't play Washougal.
And they want to play back.
I looked up Washougal because my first thought was you kind of don't want to play Ridgefield because Ridgefield beat Washougal, but Washougal has been on an absolute tear the last 4 weeks, including beating Hudson's Bay 55-14, which is one of these teams that's in that tiebreaker. So for the last month, they're 4-0, and they just beat Hawkinson, which is another pretty good team, 63-21.
Dang.
So no matter what, whether it ends up being Ridgefield or Washougal or, I don't know, maybe Hudson's Bay if something weird happens, Aberdeen's going to have a pretty tough opponent they're traveling to play in that district crossover.
A couple of comments from my dad, who's also watching. He says that our mic problems was a conspiracy by the NCAA because we started talking about Kansas. Right when that happened.
Kansas just beat Oklahoma.
Yeah, exactly. That's why he's saying it.
Weird.
Yeah. Also, as we were talking about soccer, he says that my niece, Brielle Hargrove, no relation, got her first goal in
What?
U10.
Stand for.
And, yeah.
My niece, a few weeks ago, got her first goal.
Nice. Hey.
Yeah, niece is getting first goals.
Nice.
My niece, Lizzie Lovall.
That's awesome.
She's the best.
Yeah. Well, is she better than my niece?
Well, they're both the best.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Yeah. All nieces are the best. I've also met Brielle. She's the best.
She is the best.
And so is Evie.
Yeah.
They're all the best.
All right. East County Civil
War.
See that.
Montesano 49-0 win.
My eyes aren't good, Jess.
I was there, Daniel. You were also on the broadcast.
Yes, I was.
I want to know generally your thoughts on the game, but also
super
kind of
weird game, right?
Super weird game, but also kind of what it means, big picture for Montesano going forward, because they're in a very odd and slightly precarious spot moving forward.
Well, you must be looking a little farther down the road.
Looking at the state seeding brackets.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. So the weird part of this game was Elma had 3 turnovers in the first quarter, and they were only down 13-0.
Yeah.
If you had told me that Elma had 3 turnovers and one was a pick 6 in the first quarter, I would have been like, so when's the running clock happening? Or were they changing the rules to let it happen in the first half? But it was very odd. We hit the running clock in the second half, as usual in Montesano games, and we just moved on from there.
Yeah.
Are you curious about the seedings for the state tournament? Do we want to jump right in there? You have anything else you want to go? I mean, by the way, watching your son play, no relation, I could not take my eyes off of Peyton on defense. The whole play, it actually affected my broadcasting at times because I should have been, watching where the ball went or something else like that, and instead I was just watching your son dominate and he had so many almost sacks. It was so frustrating.
Like 6 of them?
Yeah, like 6 almost sacks.
Yeah.
And then one of his actual sacks, Ian called the easiest of sacks because he basically touched the quarterback. Yeah, Andrew was listening on that. So what happened to Andrew was he had a hand on the quarterback when the quarterback ran out of bounds behind the line of scrimmage. So technically it's a sack, but it's the easiest of
Do you think
sacks.
it's easy to get so close to the quarterback at the sideline that you're touching him? No, it's not easy, Ian.
Yeah.
He worked hard for that sack.
Yeah, but he didn't actually have to tackle him, was the point. He just had to touch him.
I just thought it was amazing shade to be throwing.
Yeah.
To be
It was-
like the easiest of sacks.
It was pretty funny.
I would agree with that.
Peyton played a great game.
He played a great game, but also like he played a game that has been very consistent to what he's played all season, where he's done a pretty good job of getting off blocks. But when he comes off as a linebacker, when he comes off the line unblocked, he's so fast and explosive
He's so fast.
that he gets to the quarterback in a way that is usually either an "oh crap, I got to throw the ball" or "I'm going down."
Yep.
So all that was good. I thought the play where. When I watched the play where he blitzed into the backfield and got to Carter Studer, forced a really weird-looking fumble where I think Carter thought he was going to be able to throw the ball, and then next thing you know, it got poked out of his hands, and then Peyton just kept running and then recovered it.
Yeah.
I watched that play and thought, oh, he's going to be pissed he didn't grab it and score a touchdown.
Yep.
Because he had, full steam, but when he got to the ball, his momentum was going forward, so his upper body was moving forward, and then his foot slipped out from under him because it was wet and it's a grass field, and he just couldn't keep his momentum going.
Yep.
So he went down. He also had a couple plays before that where he had a perfect line on a pick.
Oh, no.
He had an interception. He read it perfectly. He was there. He had the ball in his hands. One of his teammates came from the other side and literally slapped it out of his hands.
I'll throw him under the bus. Felix, what are you doing,
Well,
man?
Felix was playing the ball.
He knocked it out of his hands.
But Felix was playing the ball, and he did what he was supposed to do in the sense that someone's catching the ball, I got to stop him. He didn't realize it was his teammate.
Yeah. His teammate who probably had another shot at scoring on that play.
I watched the film from two angles on that play. There was no shot. He was scoring.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because
Who was
there
in
was
between him.
Nobody.
How is he going to score?
He was going to score.
Oh, you said there was no shot he was scoring.
I'm sorry. Let me rephrase. There was no chance of scoring. He was scoring.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Because the direction that his momentum had him going, there was no person.
Yeah.
And he runs a 4.540. I don't know if I told you that.
Yeah.
He runs a 4.540.
Yeah.
So he would not have been caught on that play.
For sure.
Yeah. Although other teammates would tell you have lineman hands and you weren't going to catch that anyway.
Oh, he had already caught it.
No.
To me, it looked like he already caught it.
He had it in his hands.
Yeah.
But it was. He
had the whole world.
It was
in
funny.
His hands.
Yeah, he did. You're giving me flashbacks to the movie Rocket Man.
Yes.
Has anybody seen that movie out there on
yes.
YouTube? Rocket Man.
Well, my
Good
dad
movie.
definitely has. It's one of his favorites.
Since Nick is here, and I don't think Tyson's here, but Nick from N2 Media, Tyson from Recruit Radar, they had a debate on their show the other day about what was a better movie between Remember the Titans and Friday Night Lights. And I was like, this is a stupid argument. Remember the Titans is a good movie.
Yeah.
Friday Night Lights is I could take it or leave it.
Exactly.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Remember the Titans is a good movie.
It holds up. Yeah. By the way, speaking looking at this, Aiden said, remember when I was talking about how close he was to 1,000 yards? He's 25 yards away from 1,000. And he's already to 1,500 all-purpose.
Yeah.
Nice.
Aiden had a really good week this week.
Yeah, he did.
I think, and we are going to talk about this when we get into Athlete of the Week conversations, but 29 carries in a game is a lot.
Yeah, it is.
When you get to bell cow status, if you carry the ball consistently 20 times, 29 carries in a game is a lot when your team is trying to ground and pound.
Yep.
And Aiden not only did that, but he did it effectively with over 190 yards rushing.
Something I've been paying a little bit more attention to this year, as I know some of the kids a little bit better, there was a point in this game that I was covering where I was like, oh man, Peyton looks like he's kind of tired. He's really sucking air. And then I was thinking, has Peyton come off the field in the last hour and a half? And I was thinking the same thing watching Aiden, because Aiden returns kicks, returns punts, plays offense, plays defense. The only thing I'm not sure, I don't think Aiden's on kickoff coverage.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if he's on field goal, the team that's kicking the extra point. But so many of these kids never come off the field.
Peyton basically never comes off the field.
Yeah.
He's not on kickoff coverage unless there's a certain person who is sometimes out of, like, in or out, like, depending on what's going on. So sometimes he's in on kick coverage, but most of the time he's not.
Gotcha.
And then punt return. They usually keep the defense on, so he's usually in on that too.
Yeah. Yep.
So basically he's on the field all the time unless they're on kick coverage. Or like towards the end of the game when he gets pulled because they're mixing JV guys in.
Right. You want to talk about the precarious situation for the Bulldogs?
Well, I think it's interesting that sorry, go ahead.
Really quick, right before that, explain to me how many teams is state again?
It's 16.
16. Okay, that's what I thought, but I wasn't sure if it was 16 or 8.
It's 16.
Okay.
So
you want to be one of the top 8 schools to host.
You want to be one of the top 8 to host. You'd really like to be one of the top 4
To host twice.
to potentially get to host twice.
Right.
There are 6 undefeated teams and likely to be 6 undefeated teams at the end of the crossovers.
Yeah, you better not
Royal,
lose your crossover.
yeah. No, I don't think any of those teams. They're not all playing crossovers. I don't think because different districts
Right.
have different rules. But I would imagine when you get to the end.
Sorry, Daniel Gross is throwing in Rocket Man quotes.
What do you say? Is it repeatable?
I forgot that was a quote in Rocket Man. I'm not sure in today's climate if that is. So.
Okay. Well, we'll hold off on that then.
Yeah, it's so good though.
If you haven't watched Rocket Man,
Do
like
it.
is that an early 2000s movie or like a 90s movie?
It's either early 2000s or late 90s.
That's a classic.
Yeah.
And it's stupid and you won't have to think like at all.
Right.
But it's really funny.
Yep.
Go watch it.
Yep.
If you haven't watched Rocket Man, go watch it.
If you light the house on fire, the number's 911.
I feel that Royal and Kings have kind of distinguished themselves as 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Kings has a couple of really convincing wins against good teams. They beat not only Cascade Christian, but also Nooksack Valley.
Yeah, that's a big win.
Royal, I think, beat Linden Christian earlier in the season, but they've just been boat racing everybody
Hate to
all
see
year. You hate to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just hate to see it.
1997.
Okay.
For Rocket Man?
Yeah,
Okay,
Andrew's
thank
watching
you.
the trailer right now.
It's a
Now
good movie.
Coming soon on
I'm
video
telling
and
you, it's a
cassette.
good movie. It's way better than Friday Night Lights. Like, Tyson, get your crap out of here with Friday Night Lights. Like, what is that about? Anyway, so you got, in my personal record book, 6 undefeated teams. You go Royal, you go Kings, you go Lakeside. Lakeside's had some really good wins, especially early in the year.
Lakeside 9 Mile Falls?
Yes.
Okay.
They're very good this year. They're undefeated. So I would go 1 through 3 those teams.
Okay.
I would personally put Montesano at 4 because I think as their strength of schedule is not the best, they have defeated their teams that they play against by a overwhelmingly convincing margin.
Yeah.
They also have wins against Aberdeen, which is a pretty good 2A team. And then they also have wins against Eatonville, which I believe will be a favorite going against Castle Rock to get into the state playoffs. And the closest game they've played all year was 28 points, and they've beaten their opponents by an average margin of 45-3. So I would go Monty at 4, no bias. Then I would go Kashmir after that,
Right.
and then I would go La Center. But you got 6 teams, and like outside of the top 2, I almost think you could go 3 through 6 in any order, and people could make an argument for it.
Right.
But the 4 seed is such a big deal because that's not hosting 1, that's hosting 2 potential state playoff games.
Yep.
So while I feel very confident that assuming Montesano can handle its business against Stevenson this Friday, which they should, no problem. Stevenson, if anybody's interested in a comparison, Stevenson played a very close game and beat Columbia White Salmon by like 6 points this year. And Montesano beat Columbia White Salmon 48-6.
Yeah.
So there shouldn't be a problem getting past Stevenson. And if you do...
You and I love our transitive properties.
Exactly.
Yep.
And if you do get past Stevenson, you run into the argument of like, what's more valuable? Like closer wins over pretty good schools or mostly dominant wins over bad schools and a couple wins over pretty good schools?
It's going to be, I mean, the strength of schedule is, ooh. So Nick thinks that Kashmir and Monty should be flip-flopped.
there's an argument for that to be made because
well, from what you said, it sounds like it's a tough. I mean, all of this is going to be tough, right? Because you're trying to gauge.
Well, Nick's going to love this, but I think
different
Licenter's the
opponents.
worst of those teams.
Well, seeing that he said that Kashmir should be above Monty, I think he's saying that too.
Well, in the N2 media shows when Recruit Radar does their rankings and they talk about them, they had for a couple weeks Licenter behind Nooksack Valley and Linden Christian, which are two loss teams, but their losses were against really good schools,
right?
And Licenter has beat Woodland early in the year, which is a big win because Woodland's a good 2A team.
Yeah.
But then besides that, their next best opponent is Seton Catholic, which I don't know how to tell how good Seton Catholic is.
Well, they do have Jason Gesser's kid.
And Jason Gesser.
Yeah.
As a coach.
They have both Gessers. It's tough, man.
If it ended up that way and
Montesano-
Kashmir ended up right ahead of Monty, I would not be able to argue it. Like, it's...
So, I honestly think Montesano, in a weird twist of fate, should probably be rooting really hard for Aberdeen. Unlike what they did previously this year.
I've been rooting hard for Aberdeen every week.
Yeah. Maybe you should tell the kids who went to the game that. Because now they really need Aberdeen to win.
Well,
if they
Aberdeen
wanna get up
shoved
to
it
that
in those
fourth.
kids' faces by beating Prosser anyway.
I get it. Yeah, we don't have to relive that. I was just making a joke about if Aberdeen loses this week, then Monty could find themselves in 6th. Because their best win doesn't look that good.
And so this is where, like, whenever the last few years when seeding comes out, I get really stressed out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So, like, then when it comes out, I'm usually either happy or enraged.
Yep.
If
It's like me when I see the basketball seedings come out.
if Monty lands
Just start
anywhere
throwing things.
between 3
Hope
and
we have to travel to where?
yeah. If Monty ends up landing anywhere between 3 and 6, I can't be mad about it. Like, it is what it is. Like, you've got undefeated teams, and it's a real cluster trying to figure out whose resume is better than the other team's resume.
Right.
I personally feel that Royal and Kings have distinguished themselves above the rest.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, Royal is to the state what Montesano is to the Evergreen 1A League. Which is annoying. So annoying on multiple levels.
Last year, Montesano had to share the league title with Eatonville and Tenino.
Yeah.
Which then Tenino ran with, "We're the league champions. Buy a t-shirt that says league champions." Congratulations. You shared the league title with half of the other teams in your league. Good job, Beavers.
With more than half.
This is
it's
what
a
happened.
5-team league.
This is half the other teams.
Oh,
so
you're
they're
right. Okay,
they're the
gotcha.
5th team. So,
Yeah, okay.
But this is what happens when teams who don't know how to win. Like, they just like, "Oh, look how good we did." Nah, you were pretty good.
Oh.
And you got.
Let me know what happens when teams who don't know how to lose. That's also entertaining.
Well, if Royal ever loses, like ever, we'll talk about that. But and we kind of went through this with Royal too, because like I know that they lost last year in the regular season to Linden Christian.
Yeah.
But I think they're on a 3-peat of state titles.
Yeah, it's stupid.
And I need someone else to knock them off before I'm willing to say anyone else is number 1.
Exactly.
So like last year when the preseason poll had Eatonville at number 1, I'm like, yeah, Eatonville's really good, but I need to be convinced that they're better than Royal.
Exactly.
Because Royal is sort of the gold standard. As like I've been saying, they're number 0. Like
Yeah.
there's no number 1, Royal's number 0, everyone else is competing for number 2.
Yep.
Until someone knocks them off. And at that point I'll be willing to go like, okay, maybe.
Right.
So
I totally get that.
So seeding wise,
Yep.
for Montesano, I think, if you're a fan of the Bulldogs, hope that they can handle their business convincingly against Stevenson, and if they are able to accomplish that, look for something between 3 and 6, but you really want a 4 or higher.
When should I ask you what this ceiling is for this Montesano team? Because I feel like it might be unfair to you because you're a parent to spring it on you right now.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
do you want to talk about it next week? Like, if you
I'll tell you right now, I think the ceiling is a state title. I think the ceiling is a state title.
They can't do any better than that.
But the reason
There's no way.
The reason that I'll tell you that is because I once watched a Montesano team go up against Royal in a state title game in 2012 when they were not favored.
Right.
They weren't even favored 2 rounds before that. They were supposed to lose. And
yes, we all remember that team, Justin.
With the coaching staff, and their ability to maximize their talent and come up with the right game plan to make things happen, I think the ceiling is a state title. I think the most realistic high-level expectation is, maybe you can upset Kings or Royal and get into the title game. I think if you're like, hey, what's a reasonable expectation? Like, I think this is one of the 4 best teams in the state, and they should make the semifinal round.
Okay. I like that. It's fluctuated a bit for me this season, right?
Yeah.
Because before the season, I came in and I said, this is a Monty team that I'm looking to be Final Four, if not state champs, because of their defense.
Yeah.
And some people were like, I think Ian mentioned to me, he's like, oh, a defense that lost Mateo Sanchez, and he named a couple other players. And I was like, yeah, maybe that should worry me a bit more. But have you seen this defensive line? Have you seen the linebackers that are coming in behind Mateo? Like, this defense is legit, proven by the fact that they just shut out their league.
Yeah.
And that's when the JV comes in. They still shut out their league.
Yeah.
And the JV comes in a lot for Montesano, and they still shut out their league. So I think, but then it's hard for me to say, because in the state tournament, what matters? You have to be able to win games in multiple ways.
Yeah.
And your starting quarterback went out with an injury. And if you're going with, like, Tyson Perry's been great. And I love how they're mixing in Felix, and they're like, I love how they managed that. But when you get to the state playoffs, things get different. And so that's what I'm worried about. That's my worry for Montesano.
I don't
scoring points.
I don't not worry about that.
Right. Because it doesn't matter if you're good. You have to go from good to great.
When you're looking at Tyson as a sophomore,
right,
coming in because the senior quarterback got hurt,
right.
I believe so. The biggest thing about Tyson is that he's not making the big mistake.
True.
I believe Tyson has 9 touchdown passes and no interceptions.
That's awesome.
Which, coming in as a sophomore, like, I'm not going to tell you that Tyson's making every throw. He does throw a really good deep ball.
Yeah, he does.
But he's played really well. I think he exceeded the expectation significantly of what I had for him when he came in.
Right.
And the coaching staff has also decided, hey, you know what? We've got this other guy who was a backup quarterback in Felix Romero, who's really good with the ball in his hands. Mm-hmm. And so over the last few games especially, they've been ramping up the Felix goes in and runs the ball out of like a wildcat formation thing.
Wild Romero.
And it works really well frankly, because Felix is great with the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
So I don't not worry about that, but I also think that the extra dimensions of what they have can work.
Right.
Get Gabe Bodwell back on turf.
Yeah.
Not on slippery, wet grass. Yep. I think that makes a difference. Bodie Poehler as a change of pace.
He looked awesome.
Yep. And Mason Rasmussen in the passing game as a receiver. Yep. Great speed, second fastest player on the team. And I think the other thing is, you mentioned Mateo Sanchez, and I'll just shout out one guy I think has been just absolutely phenomenal this year. The guy who came in behind Mateo, who was co-defensive MVP of the league last year, and one of our favorite players for sure. Gabe Pahala stepping in that middle linebacker spot through 8 games. So going into this Elma game was already over 100 tackles this season.
He's had a heck of a year.
He's great.
Yeah.
Like, and as a sophomore, and I would say this to Gabe, so I'm comfortable to say it. Yeah. Like, Gabe showed as a sophomore great physical ability, but not great ability to be in the right spot to work within the structure of the offense. Defense.
Yeah.
And Gabe Pahala, who the kids call Pie, by the way, because there's 2 Gabes, so you can't have 2 Gabes. You got to have one Pie.
Do you have Pie and Bod?
Just Pie and Gabe.
Okay.
And Pie has stepped in and filled. He has exceeded my expectation twofold, because I know that he's been a great. He plays with great instincts, and physically he's tremendously capable.
Right.
But he has also showed the ability to work within the flow of the defense and be in the right spot and do what he's supposed to. And in this Elma game, he had an interception, a really great play where he had to make a full extent. He was on the run, full extension play on the ball. He was the only one nearby. I don't know where the ball was supposed to go, but
I think that the backup defensive end, I can't remember his name, Christian
Morris.
He had his arms around Studer when he threw that.
So he affected the throw. Okay.
Yeah, to say the least.
But when the ball's coming towards Gabe, he's running full speed, full extension. He makes the catch. He gets a good run with it.
Yep.
He also had a strip sack earlier in the game. And as I mentioned, his impact defensively, he was over 100 tackles already.
Yeah.
Has been just huge.
Yep.
So when like Ian said, you lose a guy like Mateo Sanchez.
Yep.
I would say also the loss of Cole Eckerson at safety
That was big.
is a really big deal.
Yep.
But then you have a sophomore step up in that spot like Torrin Kreitz, who I believe has 4 interceptions on the year.
Wow.
I could be a little off on that, but Torrin's been great.
Yep.
So you have younger guys stepping up into those spots, and I think Gabe Pahala is an example. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, yeah, Gabe Pahala is just as good as Mateo Sanchez was last year.
That's not what we're saying.
But I'm telling you that when you replace someone like Mateo with Gabe, replace him with someone who plays as instinctively as Gabe does, as strong as Gabe does, as fast as Gabe does, that's a pretty good switch.
Yep.
And he's only a junior.
Yeah.
So he's got another year to go.
Yep.
So I believe that with the guys that have come up behind the players who are lost for Monty to graduation last year, that they have the capability to go as far as is possible this season.
Right. Talking a little bit about that, Nick says LaCenter beat Connell, Mount Baker, Kalama, and Woodland, the 2A Greater St. Helens League
Nick
champ.
knows Mount Baker is not a good win. I don't know why he's going.
But
to
he
that.
did throw Woodland in there.
Woodland
which
is a good win. I
mean, that's the 2A champ from Greater St. Helens.
They're good.
And
No,
he
I'm not
said
gonna
their
say
mascot chews wood for a living. Huge win. Much like Tenino and my Oregon State Beavers. It's the Woodland Beavers. Did you not know that?
I thought you were talking about LaCenter's mascot. Okay,
No.
yeah.
LaCenter's mascot is the Wildcats.
Yeah, Wildcats.
Yeah. Which I'm not going to throw too much shade because most of the teams in our neck of the woods also have really lame mascots, but really the Wildcats, can you get more generic than that without being the Bulldogs?
I mean, those are probably the two most generic
Wildcats
mascots,
and
right?
Bulldogs.
Wildcats and Bulldogs.
And then, right behind it, you got Bobcats, Eagles, and Grizzlies.
Yeah. I'll say this about LaCenter, and this is a point that, like, when I text
Hey,
with...
at least Tohola has the chit wins.
Oh, no, our
There's
broader
There's good
areas.
ones. There's
They
good.
make,
Well,
at least they
Grizzlies.
make the Bears sound cool.
Grizzlies is a great mascot.
It's okay, but
It's
there's
a
still a lot of
very
them.
strong mascot.
Yeah, but there's a lot of Grizzlies around the nation.
I will...
Chit wins, yes. Hyaks, nobody knows what it is. but
Acorns.
Good. Acorns, great.
Yeah. I'll say this about LaCenter, and again, this is like when I text with Nick, these are the kind of points that I make about LaCenter. Like, I'm not a hater.
Yes,
I don't
you
hate
are.
LaCenter at all.
I am.
Okay, that's fine.
Daniel,
You hate
the
all
well-known
we both have
LaCenter
all kinds of
hater.
teams
I am.
that we hate.
Yep.
But I don't have a reason to hate LaCenter because the last two LaCenter teams that I've seen that were hyped up to me as, oh, this team's good.
Yep.
A few years ago, Montesano, as the lowest district team in a crossover, went and played LaCenter in a district crossover to get to state and kicked the crap out of them
Yep.
on their home field.
Yep.
And then last year, LaCenter was supposed to be this great team. And again, their season ended with a fart when they got a high seed in state, and then they ended up losing to a lower seeded team.
Yep.
So, like, I'm not saying LaCenter's bad, but I'll tell you, I will need to be. I need it to be proven to me that LaCenter can compete with top teams before I believe it.
It's the opposite of your view of Royal.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to see it first.
Yeah.
The only thing I like about LaCenter is when we got to watch Katie Witten play.
Katie Witten was awesome.
She was the best.
Oh, with that KT tape on her shoulder?
Yes.
Like, she was 5'0" and she was
If
hurt.
that. And yet
she was just
still
dominating fools.
dominated.
She was awesome.
Yeah. Okay. A little bit of glory days.
Was it
broadcasting
Katie or
there.
Caddy? Katie?
It was
Caddy?
misspelled Caddy
Okay.
one year in the program, which
Okay.
confused us.
Yeah.
And then
Caddy would be a weird name.
yeah, especially spelled Kattie, I think.
Yeah.
But no, they fixed it the next year.
Yeah.
All right. It is time for us to figure out our Spivey Athlete of the Week, which means that it is time for us to take a break to hear a word from our sponsors, which we are so grateful for. So, Spivey Realty Group's goal is to make buying, selling, investing, and renting real estate in Grace Harbor simple. They believe in 100% transparency and unparalleled communication with local expertise, tech-enhanced, and top-notch service for their friends, neighbors, and community. Their goal is simple. Get a group of strong-willed, hardworking people together who want to make a difference in Grace Harbor and to use real estate as the means of achieving that. Voted Grace Harbor's best real estate company, find them on Facebook or visit graceharborrealestate.com. Spivey Realty Group, elevating small town real estate. Thank you again to our sponsors, Spivey Realty Group and the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz. We got a lot of nominations again, Andrew.
I saw some of them.
We've got a lot of nominations, and it's too bad that Justin won't be here to pick a Monty person. Oh, wait, he's back. Oh.
I should have locked the door.
You should have. Does your bathroom lock from the outside?
No, I don't
That's
think
weird.
So.
The bedroom does. I want to say, as I just took a quick bathroom break for totally normal reasons.
Dude, that book's awesome.
I was going to say that if you can see on the stream, this book here, which looks fancy, Terry Pratchett, Wit and Wisdom.
Yeah, hold it up to your camera, Daniel.
People who put that book on their toilet in the bathroom are just trying to look smart. Like, that you don't have that book in there because you're reading it. You have that book in there because when anyone's here, you want them to feel less smart than you.
No,
that's so funny. If you knew what it was, you would not.
It says New York Times best-selling.
It is,
and it has wit and wisdom in the nickname.
Justin, the thing about Terry Pratchett is that you don't have to be smart to enjoy him. He's just amazing.
Yeah.
And so I put it there on the toilet.
I don't have to be smart to enjoy anything that I consume.
Andrew also bought me that book
with
too.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. Not everyone, obviously, because you've never shared it with me.
You don't read books.
People you like. You share it with everyone you like.
You just had it shared with you.
I had it shared with me
by.
I'm offended because
it looks fancy.
Here, I don't know. I don't know if this is just a legit inferiority complex, but I walked into the bathroom and I looked at that book and I was like, Andrew thinks he's better than me.
You didn't.
He's got a book called Wit and Wisdom that's a New York bestseller sitting on the toilet while I'm over here trying to take a leak.
Oh man, I wish I knew like a spot to find.
Well,
in
Justin
here,
doesn't know what books are.
Yeah, that's a good point. That doesn't help.
It does make sense that he wouldn't have bothered to read it.
You know what?
I read a book by its cover.
There's a book that I own that I read all the time. It's the good book. It's called the Bible.
Yes.
I was just reading Ephesians the other day. Have you ever tried that? Have you ever tried reading that book with the greatest wisdom in the world?
Yep.
Terry Pratchett.
So,
you think Terry Pratchett is God?
Justin. Terry Pratchett writes fantasy novels for the most part. So this one's about dwarves.
Okay.
And it says, all dwarves have beards and wear many layers of clothing. Their courtships are largely concerned with finding out in delicate and circumspect ways what sex the other dwarf is.
But dwarves are a real thing, like people with dwarfism.
No, Justin!
You've just turned this into something offensive. Where
you've turned it into something offensive.
Dwarves are real. That's a real thing. Like people who suffer from dwarfism, like you can call them little people if you want to. Some of them call themselves dwarves.
Well,
no, the little people.
I thought little people was the politically correct term.
Not anymore.
No.
You can't call them little because it makes them seem less than. They suffer from dwarfism, which is an officially medically recognized condition.
So they're
dwarves? Some of them call themselves dwarf. Well, it depends on
of them.
Which one you run into.
Are they dwarves or people who suffer from dwarfism? Or people who have dwarfism? Because you wouldn't want to say suffer.
I thought that the little
You'd
people
probably have to say
were like the elves.
Oh.
Well, elves are a mythical creature that are probably demons.
So are dwarves.
These are mythical
dwarves
creatures too.
Oh, they are.
Well, these are like
So you're telling me
you were
that
just
Terry
saying
Pratchett
that it was
has
people who suffer from dwarfism, and now you're trying to say that it's dwarves.
What you're telling me that in this novel that Terry Pratchett has turned a legitimate medical condition into mocking people who suffer.
They named the condition after the legendary creatures.
That is not true. That's not true. And I'm offended by this conversation. You're canceled.
That actually might be true.
Canceled.
I'm offended that this conversation went this direction when I was just trying to share something with
All
you.
I did was go to the bathroom. And
No, you
Yeah.
just didn't go to the bathroom.
I just went to the bathroom and I found this book and it made me feel stupid. Like, when you walk into my bathroom, you know what you find in there? No books!
That's the bottom line.
You know
here
why?
is
Because I read
Justin-
things on my phone when I'm in the bathroom, not a book.
Justin was offended by the fact that there was a book.
Yep.
Yes.
Not the
I
title
was,
of the book.
I was
but what the
literally
book was.
offended by before I even saw what the title was or what anything was about or who wrote it or that it was a New York Times bestseller. I was offended by the fact that your bathroom had a book.
Justin, I live in the woods. Sometimes I don't have power. I still need to be able to go to the bathroom without power.
Well, if you're the kind of person
And
who
internet.
reads this book, I'm assuming you're just not a powerful person. So you probably rarely have power.
Daniel, by the way, says we don't like the term little people. We're just vertically challenged.
Okay, but he's not.
He's short.
He's way above the cutoff.
All right. Nominations for the Spivey Athlete. Gosh, this went down the hill. We're not going to keep that sponsorship very long.
Is that my fault?
Possibly.
Okay.
All right. Nomination Mason Rasmussen for Montesano football. 2 touchdowns. One was a pick six. One was a
Receiving touchdown.
touchdown.
Yeah, actually, that play was really slick. If you want to go to our socials, go to Instagram. I posted a video of it. Tyson Perry did a really nice job sidestepping
That was a
pressure
dope.
and
Yep.
then slung a pass to Mason. Mason also had 2 picks in the game because he intercepted a pass at the end as well.
Right, because he was left in on defense.
Yeah. Gabe Pahala also from Montesano football. Do you want to discuss that, or did you?
It's understandable because the season shutout was on the line. So I understand leaving some of your starters in. They didn't leave all of them in. They left some of them in.
I think
makes
also
sense. The officials had completely pocketed their flags, so
Yes.
it didn't matter, that on basically every passing play there was a Montesano person literally getting held around the neck while they were rushing the
About
passer.
50% of the time, it was Lucas Delgado.
Yeah, it was
This
bad.
big number 75 coming up the middle, just somebody grabbing his jersey. But also the players that they left in at the end of the game was the defensive backfield,
Yep.
where there's less depth and some guys out. So it wouldn't have been as easy to put in subs.
Excuses.
Let me finish. It wouldn't have been as easy to put in subs and preserve the shutout.
There you go. There it is.
Where at linebacker, they've got a couple kids who can step in and do
Yeah.
an okay job. And on defensive line, they rotate a lot during the game anyway.
I think it's
So-
hilarious that you guys have a 6'7" giant who just never touches the field until blowouts. That's how good your defensive line is. There's a 6'7" guy, and I was just honestly assuming, man, he must
Is
be
Lucas
really
6'7"?
That's what the program says.
Wow, I knew he was tall.
And he's like 300 plus pounds.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, he must be really unathletic
No,
because
he's
he
not.
never touches the field. And then he got on the field and was like mauling
No, he's
3
actually
guys
really,
at a time.
Yeah, he's really strong.
He's really good.
Yeah.
Is he just a freshman?
No, he's a
Junior? Sophomore?
He's a sophomore or a junior.
Oh.
I'm totally blanking
Wait.
on this. No, I think he's a sophomore.
He is a sophomore.
Yeah.
Holy
So
cow.
we're gonna see. him
Well, because when Peyton was
in the
playing,
future.
Yeah.
playing 3rd grade football, no, 4th grade football, Lucas as a 2nd grader played up
Well,
and
he-
played on Peyton's team.
That makes sense. Because, he's 6'7", 325
Well, he's
pounds.
huge and strong,
Yeah.
really, really strong.
Yep.
So, by the time Lucas is a senior, you're not going to wonder why he's not on the field. He will be on the field.
He'll probably be on the field next year.
Yeah.
Seeing as all 3 of your starting defensive linemen are graduating.
True.
Yeah.
There's a
It'll
Straka
be a
in the mix there, though,
rebuilding-
too.
It'll be a rebuilding year for
Couple
Montesano.
of Strakas in the mix there.
All right. That was all talking about Rasmussen. Gabe Piala has been nominated. He had an excellent game. We talked about some of the things he did. Aiden Watkins.
Bell cow.
Yeah, just another awesome game. Micah Schroeder has been nominated. He had a touchdown, 2-point conversion.
I think that the big part of that one, sorry to cut you off, Daniel,
Yeah.
is that when that nomination came in was not only that, hey, Micah had on his only rush, he had a touchdown,
Right.
and then he also had a 2-point conversion later in the game, but also that Micah is just extremely coachable. He has a great attitude,
Yep.
and he's going to do whatever you need him to do. So I love to recognize guys who are of that ilk.
Having coached Micah in the
Yeah.
past, 100%, that is so true. He is one of my favorite kids that I've ever coached. And I've coached a lot of kids growing
Yeah.
up, but Micah's awesome. Farrell Johnson.
And that's saying
Shocker, he's
something
on there.
because he's an Aberdeen kid.
That's true. That is
Yeah.
true. Farrell Johnson had another monster game for Raymond South Bend.
Doing Farrell Johnson things,
Yes.
rushing for over 200 yards, scoring 4 touchdowns.
Yep. Trevor Turpin gets a nomination as well for Hoquiam. He had an interception, and as a defensive end, it's tough to do.
So did you see the video of this?
No, I didn't.
This
I want to see
like
the video of Trevor Turpin, son
will
of my
sh-
former teammate.
I will show you.
Sweet.
This was actually like when you picture a defensive end getting an interception, it's
Is that
usually
a
like
sports nephew.
a Spefew.
He's my sports nephew.
He's your Spefew. I think you usually picture like, oh, the ball got tipped up and then he just kind of fell over and caught it.
Yep.
This was like a screen pass, and he just stepped up into the lane and picked it, and then he actually picked it and ran with it for a while.
Nice.
He eventually got taken down, but it was a really nice play by Trevor Turpin for Hoquiam in that game. Not a lot of like really big highlight plays for Hoquiam in that game, but that was one really good one.
Kylie Wisdom for Montesano Volleyball and
Kill
Bentley
streak.
Warner, the kill streak for Kylie Wisdom. Bentley Warney for Montesano Volleyball, 27 digs against Hoquiam for the league title. Her best game of the year and in a big game, so she got some escalators there.
Bentley also only a sophomore and really stepping up. I think the reason why this nomination came in was because Bentley Warney stepped in at the biggest possible time for Montesano when they're looking for a league championship over Hoquiam and had her best game of the year.
Bryn Rasmus for Ocosta Volleyball set the school record for assists in a game. In a 16-game season, sorry, with 328.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of assists.
Dang. That's averaging over 20 a game.
That's an
just
escalator,
nuts.
too.
Yeah.
It's breaking a school record.
Haley Schweppe, Montesano Cross Country. Don't want to talk about that.
Because she beat Jane Roloff?
Yeah.
Well,
I'm upset.
like it doesn't affect my Jane Roloff fanhood. Like Jane's obviously awesome.
Yeah.
But I think for me the big one here is like Haley's a freshman, first of all.
Yeah.
And the fact that she beat Jane, who just won the league title and like smoked
Demolished
the course record.
Yeah.
And then she also beat Alexis Leone from Seton Catholic, who is the reigning state champion.
Yep.
Haley just beat both of them
Yep.
to win the district title,
Yeah.
which is completely bonkers, and help her team also get the team title in cross country for districts.
Yep. That's nuts.
Escalators.
I
Caleb-
would be really interested if anyone has a cross country background and can tell us if a taper could be involved there, because especially a freshman hasn't established anything. They're probably gonna be going as hard as they can and trying to do their best, whereas as a swimmer, if you had already qualified for state in districts, you weren't even trying.
Right.
You were just putting your you were swimming, but you were exhausted because you were probably swimming 5,000 laps out. Like you were super intense training because you wanted to be at peak for state.
Right.
And I have no idea if track is like
Well,
that or if cross country.
I don't know if cross country is like that either.
Is like that, but I
Yeah.
don't know that the.
I don't know if it's like that at all, but I don't think it should affect this situation because Jane never stops running anyway.
Yeah.
Like she ran to the meet.
Yeah, and then she ran home after the meet.
Yeah.
And it was in Woodland, which we were just talking about earlier. It takes about 2 hours to drive there.
Yeah.
So Jane could probably run there in like 3 hours.
Yep.
Oh, I was gonna say an hour and a half.
Yeah. Let's see. Caleb Guadino, Hoquiam Middle School cross country.
We've actually
undefeated league champ,
yeah.
and he set 3 course records.
So we
Wow.
we've received a Caleb Guadino nomination, I think 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah, I love it.
Which is awesome, and thank you, people. Please keep sending these in. We knew he was undefeated. We knew that he was the league champion. I did not know that he set 3-course records along the way.
That's awesome.
For Hoquiam Middle School. That is really cool. And I think looking like, down the road a couple years when Caleb gets into cross country, and also like, we're seeing this already with Haley Schweppe as a freshman.
Yep.
Like cross country and there's others. I didn't mention everyone's name, but as I was looking up and down the leaderboard at districts, there are others in lower classes that are really competitive.
Right.
Over the next couple of years, it's going to continue to be really strong cross country coming out of Grays Harbor.
For sure. One I didn't see here. Did somebody nominate Monty freshman for something they did in a freshman game? I thought I saw that in one of our texts.
Was that last week?
I thought that
Or
was
was that this week?
Ian was asking for it this week, so I don't know exactly what it was.
Let me check last week's show, because Brody Williamson...
My phone is really old, and it's been struggling. Yeah, it was Brody Williamson. By the way, going into the mascots, my dad throwing out Kazi termites. Sadly, they're not the termites anymore, Dad.
No, they were
They're the
cougars. Even
cougars.
when I lived there, they were cougars.
My
But
mom was
lame. Termites is way weirder.
right? My mom was a Kazi termite.
Let's see.
My friend has a license plate that says termites forever.
You know what? I don't
But
see...
it turns out not termites forever because they changed their name.
Yeah.
Brody Williamson for the Montesano freshman team. And was that an email or a message that came in?
I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
My
but-
phone was being weird when Rob and Ian were talking about it.
Yeah, I do remember that because, full disclosure, my son plays on that freshman team as well.
Right.
Brody ended up stepping in at quarterback because a couple other kids quit the team right before the season started.
Okay.
So he came in at quarterback and was like kind of trying to learn what was going on. Brody is big and he's a great athlete. But I think he threw two touchdown passes and rushed for another in one of their recent games, and
I
he
think
was
he might have had a
nominated.
pick six as well.
Something like
Yeah.
that. But
Anyway.
like Brody Williamson, like that's a name you're gonna hear over the next few years. So like just be ready for it. Like Brody's a really good athlete, so you're definitely gonna hear that one.
How do they spell Brody? Is there a Y on the end of it?
Yeah, Brody.
Yeah, because generally when you have an OD,
Were you doing a Bodie thing?
Yeah, I am.
You could do IE also.
Sorry, Bodie.
Well,
Your name's spelled weird.
Daniel's like, don't beat me up.
If I'm being honest, like one of my favorite things is to pitch crap to Bodie's parents. Not that I'm the kind of person who pitches crap to people.
Yeah, definitely not.
But
I have no idea where we're going with this athlete of the week, by the way.
We also, you guys didn't mention, we also had a nomination for the entire Hoquiam football team.
That's true.
For their,
we did, but
you already recognized them, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to recognize the fact that we did have them as nominated as
An entire
and actually, thank you for bringing that up because we did receive that nomination, and I didn't want to put that in athlete of the week, but we opened the show with it because
Yeah.
I thought it was the story of the week.
Yeah.
Like we don't
Agreed.
And if anybody needs perspective on that, we don't open the show with anything.
Right.
We open the
Daniel
show
screams.
we open the show with noises and nonsense, and then we go straight into the 2-minute drill. So for us to open the show with an actual topic means that it was heavy on our hearts.
For sure.
So yeah, definitely. And then I think, Daniel, you mentioned on the way out here, Montesano's offensive line.
Yeah. There was gaping holes.
Yeah.
Gaping holes. And I even started to question some of your assessment of Montesano ball carriers. Because I was like, are they really that good? Or is their offensive line just doing this every week? This is crazy.
Yeah.
So that was Nathan Dowler, Cohen Anderson,
Kyle Caton.
Camden
Taylor.
Taylor, and Peyton Domashevitz.
No relation.
Dominating.
What's the J stand for?
I don't know.
Domashevitz.
Domashevitz.
Yeah. So that's a big one too. Like I would have said that again, like things always change when you watch them.
Yeah.
But against Tenino, they rushed for like 460 yards as a team.
Yeah.
And just totally dominated the crap out of the Beavers. So sorry, that probably stung a little bit. Sorry, you recoiled a little bit when I said Beavers.
I flinch every time.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Flinches
You know
and
what?
he's like, wait,
And
I don't like Tenino.
I should have
Exactly.
anticipated that.
It's always like, oh wait, Tenino. I hate Tenino.
So I think the performance against many opponents this year has been pretty dominant by Montesano's offensive line.
Yeah. So I think we've got. How do we want to narrow this down? We have so many that we have to like try and narrow it down. I think Farrell Johnson has to be in conversation.
It would be really irresponsible if Farrell Johnson was not in the conversation.
Yeah. 218 yards? Is that what it was? Or 219?
No, I think it was 218 on 10 carries, and then 3 rushing touchdowns, and then 1 kick return touchdown.
Yeah. Unless he caught a pass, he just missed 300 yards of all-purpose yards.
I don't think he caught a pass.
Okay.
But, well, I mean, come on, he could have caught 1 pass. Like, Farrell, what are you doing?
Yeah, come on,
like, Farrell, go catch 1 pass. Like, what even are you doing?
Yeah.
I think that for Ocosta volleyball, Bryn Rasmus needs to be in our list of finalists for setting a school record for assists with 16 in a 16-game season with 328.
Yeah.
Which is a lot.
Yep.
That's more than 20 assists a game. So, and anytime somebody gets a school record, that's also an escalator. I find Haley Schweppy's case, while I can't, like, you guys went so rogue last week picking a cross-country athlete. Like, what the heck? And the idea that we're gonna have that we could have a cross-country athlete 2 weeks in a row is just like mind-boggling to me.
So rogue.
But the fact that Haley as a freshman beat Jane, who's like virtually inhuman because she's so good,
right?
And then also the defending state champion in Alexis Leon, is a crazy case for her.
It is a really good case. Yep. My dad says, since Justin's best 40 was about 45 seconds, obviously there is no relation to Peyton. My dad throwing some big shade.
You know what? One time, you know what? Hold on. We're going to go back in time because that cannot stand. One time when we were playing a flag football game, and you know, Daniel, we played together a lot.
Yeah.
I was usually like, thank you, Andrew. Typically in, thanks. Can we still get money from Ukraine? We're sending a lot of money over there. We might as well be able to get some.
Woof.
Daniel, when we played together, usually, like, I often played center.
Right.
So on the offense, I would be like third, fourth option for receiving, and we had a lot of guys that were faster and better than me.
Except for all right, slant left. All right, slant
center
left,
screen.
center screen.
Yeah.
That was our favorite.
Except for the one season which I insisted on, instead of being called center, I insisted on being called Captain Spider Monkey. And so when we called that play in the huddle, it was a trips right, all slant, Captain Spider Monkey screen. And then
definitely didn't help out the play caller.
Our quarterback got fed up with it and was like, I'm going back to calling you center. Yeah. But when we were playing flag football, one time I caught a pass and I ran pretty far with it. And then your dad told me from the sideline, he was like, when it was halftime, he was talking to me. He was like, hey, you need to get the ball more. And I was like,
Andrew.
I was like, come on, Russia. Like, think about Russia. I was like, you know, Mr. Hargrove, like, I think that's great. I'd love to get the ball more, but there's a lot of guys who are better. And he's like, you're better than all those guys. And in my mind, I was like, okay, you got 2 sons on this team. So that means something to me.
Yep.
He knows I ran better than a 45-second 40. It was 43 seconds at worst.
Yeah, at worst. All right, so we've got Farrell Johnson, we've got Haley Schweppy, and we've got the league, the school record. Gosh,
Bryn Rasmus.
Bryn Rasmus.
And me, also, obviously.
And Justin.
Yeah.
For having a sub 45-second 40.
Gabe Bodwell.
No, not Gabe Bodwell this year.
Gabe had a good game, though.
He did have a good game, yes.
Oh, little Daniel wants to know if that was before or after a fight.
Yeah, flag football came with a lot of fights.
Which fight, I guess, would be the question.
Exactly.
Yeah, flag football. Men's rec league flag football had a lot of fights. Yep. Actually, little Daniel
was part of one of them.
Was part of, I mean, he probably was the instigator on multiple fights, if we're going to be honest about it. Yeah.
All right. So are we narrowing it down to those three?
What were the three? So
Farrell Johnson,
Schweppe.
Haley Schweppe, and Bryn Rasmus.
Can we throw Aiden Watkins in there?
Yes, I think Aiden should also be in there.
So if we're narrowing it down to 4 finalists, Aiden Watkins with 190 rushing yards and I well over 200 all-purpose yards if you include return yards. Then Farrell Johnson doing Farrell Johnson things.
You know what? Yeah, I think Aiden needs to be. Aiden's way up there. I forgot that it was 190.
Yeah,
that's a ton.
Well,
and they have the escalator of this locked them into the playoffs.
They needed it.
They didn't have to mess around with any stupid tiebreaker situation this time.
And especially because last year they ended up in that Kansas tiebreaker and they lost.
Exactly.
And they ended up out of the crossover.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
So I think that's a huge escalator for Aiden. Oh boy.
But also, Bryn Rasmus broke a record, man. She broke a season record for Ocosta volleyball.
Yeah. And
Haley Schweppe, man.
I know.
Like, she's a freshman, so she's got lots more chances, but still.
And Farrell Johnson, man.
Farrell Johnson. Just doing Farrell. We're getting desensitized, I think, to Farrell.
We are.
And have we given him the award twice? Like, it's at least once, but I know that we've talked about him a lot.
Yes, we have.
So we also run into the issue that, like, we're looking at, when we give out this award, who have we given it to before? Yep. If we feel similarly about an athlete, we'll kind of tend to give someone an edge if they haven't had it before.
Right.
So Farrell had an athlete of the week this season.
Yes.
I don't think Aiden has this season, but he has.
We gave it to Aiden.
He had one. He had at least one last year, for sure.
Right.
Haley is a freshman, so she's definitely never had one.
Yep.
And then Bryn Rasmus, I'm very confident that from Ocosta softball we haven't given an athlete of the week award.
You mean Ocosta volleyball?
Ocosta volleyball, yeah. Oh, Ocosta softball's gotten several.
Ocosta
because of Jesse Gilbert.
Yeah, that's not a real person. Let's see. We had Jane. Gosh, you post too much. You do too well of a job of our social media. Oh yeah, that's right. Last week was the double gold.
One post a week, please.
Yeah,
Justin.
We had the Tumani. We had the triple award. We had Austin Snodgrass, also from Raymond South Bend.
Yeah, I think there was a point where we had like 3 weeks in a row with a Raymond South Bend athlete because Farrell had it. Maybe it was just
Farrell
and Austin.
Yeah,
because I remember being mad that none of our Monty athletes could get one because the Raymond South Bend athletes were hogging them all.
Oh, my phone's gonna die.
Don't die, phone.
My phone's about 5 years old. It's not gonna make it. And it's set on scrolling down. So
oh no. Are you trying to see if we've given Aiden the award this year?
We definitely haven't because I remember the game that it would have been for.
Yeah.
And I'm past that.
Also, Aiden, I felt like I spent a little bit of time with Aiden when we were on a college recruiting trip at the University of Puget Sound.
Oh yeah.
And I felt a little bad that we had not talked more about how well he played the week before.
Right.
Because he was really good. So there's that. Like, I don't want to let my personal biases get in the way of Athlete of the Week and how it should be appropriately distributed. But, I like Aiden.
Xander.
I think he's a great player.
Oh, it loaded again. Xander. Yep, Aiden did win it this week.
This week?
This year. 110 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns versus Hoquiam.
Oh, that's right. The Myrtle Street rivalry game. We gave him the escalator for the Myrtle Street rivalry.
It was the Murder Street rivalry game, remember?
Yes, the Murder Street.
And before that, it was Peyton Domashevitz, no relation, for the Jamboree performance.
What's the J stand for?
I don't know.
So
super fast.
So I have a direction I'm leaning.
I do too.
And I want to know what you think about it.
Okay, I want to know where you're leaning.
I'm leaning in the direction of Bryn Rasmus.
That's where I was leaning.
For setting the school record for assists in a 16-game season with 328. Because that's a lot.
That's
to quote my friend Daniel Hargrove, that's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I was leaning towards Bryn as well. So I think Bryn Rasmus,
Okay.
Ocosta Volleyball, set the school record for assists in a 16-game season with 328. You are a Spivey Athlete of the Week. Congratulations. You have absolutely deserved it. That's a ridiculous amount of assists, over 20 per game. And we are so excited that somebody sent in that nomination.
Yeah.
And we are able to help. Let's see. What's the right word there? Help congratulate you on your record-setting performance. That is just ridiculous. And now you've peaked. I'm sorry, but once people win the Athlete of the Week,
Bryn, I don't know what grade you're in, but I'm sorry. This is the highlight of your life.
Yeah.
After you've been the Spivey Athlete of the Week, I'm not sure what else positive you'll be able to accomplish that tops that.
That's it.
That's it.
All right. And that's going to do it for our show today because due to our weird technical difficulties, this is like a 2-hour and 15-minute show.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Is that Andrew's fault?
Really? Was that the technical difficulties fault or just normal? That might be just normal.
Let's blame the technical difficulties because that makes it seem like it could be Andrew's fault.
No, it definitely
When
wasn't
really
Andrew's
it's just Daniel's fault.
fault. Hey.
Not mine at all.
That's going to do it for our show today. So, again, to our sponsors, the law office of Jeffrey A. Damashevitz and Spivey Realty Group, thank you so much for helping us stay on the air, support these local athletes. And for my co-host, Justin, definitely a sub 45-40.
And my co-host, Daniel, the Beaver believer, whether it's Oregon State or Tenino.
No, definitely not Tenino. And our trusty producer, Andrew, getting us back on the air, gross.
Good job, Andrew.
You've been listening / watching the scrimmage.
Do you think Andrew hustled us? Like he started the show out bad on purpose so he could prove how good he is at getting it back to normal?
Definitely not.
Hustling.
Definitely didn't.
Every day he's hustling.
Thanks for listening to the scrimmage.